We're
Hello.
live. It's Kyle. Hello, Kyle.
Hey, Kyle.
And I actually got Kyle's email address, and so we exchanged addresses. So we're
Oh,
gonna be
okay.
sending some stuff.
Awesome.
How are you? Oh, I don't know if he's here actually, but how are you? And thank you for joining us. Um, we'll see what happens today. Um, yeah, and thank you for the suggestion, Kyle, of Mio's Corner of the World. I know. I don't
Hmm.
know what to call. So this is one of the things I was hoping that we can talk about today and get people's suggestions about the channel name. It is definitely a little corner of of the
Hmm.
world for sure. So yeah, I'm not quite sure but I don't think what I have currently reflects um, what I don't know. It does. It's not resonating with me right now. So hey, kiddo, I hope you're doing okay. If you have a suggestion for us in terms of what we were thinking about changing the name of the channel here. If you have any suggestions, please let us know. But yeah, so that's the first thing. Not the first thing. I'm going to keep asking throughout. I think people are going to hopefully come in and out today. But I mean, happy holidays.
Hmm. Getting close.
Getting close. Yeah, it's. I mean, it's only about a week away now.
That's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah. And how are you doing with your holiday preparations?
Um, I'm doing okay. I mean, I still have to get a couple things, but yeah, it's going to be a very low key Christmas, I think.
Well, it's kind of it's sort of that's how it is with
Yeah.
us. Our families are not in town, so
Hmm.
and Joe work generally has us in town, so it's not too different from I think previous years. And it's a funny thing because even our during like pandemic stuff, I know that a lot of people, they couldn't spend time with family, and that was would
Hmm.
have been really difficult. But for us, we often don't get to spend time with our family, so it wasn't as hard for us. Still, I mean, it's still difficult. I think just from a day-to-day basis when we don't necessarily always have family around, but yeah, our holiday plans aren't too extravagant. I'm just curious to know what your plans are for the holidays, and if you can share it with us, that would be great.
Hmm.
Yeah. Before we launch into our holiday stuff that we were going to talk about, so if you could let us know like what your holiday plans are going to be looking like this year, that would be awesome. In the meantime, just sort of like looking at me. Do you have something that you might want to share or start us off? We're just gonna be a few minutes before we start talking about our holiday stuff.
Um, Let me think. I no, actually, I would say we've been watching a show called Hot Ones on YouTube
That I
uh,
think a lot of people
that a
know
lot of
about.
people watch, and
Mm-hmm.
been enjoying that. We've been watching it for a while, but there were some really funny episodes, and the one that sticks out in my head was the one with Tom Holland,
Who's Spider-Man?
Spider Man,
Mm-hmm.
and the whole premise of the show is they have, if you haven't seen it, is they have chicken wings and they have all these hot sauces, and they get hotter and hotter and hotter. The celebrity has to start at one, and by the end of it, like they just like they get worse and worse as they go along. And that one, because he was really reacting to, like, there's one called The Bomb, where there's an actual bomb on the hot sauce, and he
Label
was
on the
just like
label.
on the label, and
Mm-hmm.
he was just like, you know, like there was some, like, another one I remember was Gordon Ramsay. He was like, crying and his face was turning red, and he just couldn't take, because I mean it's like ghost peppers and all this weird combination. So that was a good episode, seeing him react to it, and he had to get up and stop
Walk
and
around and
drink a pitcher of that. The last few episodes, I think we
somehow
there
we
we go.
got taken off the stream,
Yeah.
but I think we're back. Yeah, I mean, Hot Ones. I think they've had a number of seasons now, so
Hmm.
we'll anytime like YouTube will suggest it, we'll watch it. And I think right now with No Way Home, No Way Home is it? That's
Is it
coming
No
out.
Way Home?
Um, no, what is the Spider-Man movie called?
I think it's No Way Home.
Right, that's coming out. I think he's doing the press
Mm-hmm.
junket and stuff like that, and he's done the Hot Ones
Mm-hmm.
as a result of that. So it's a pretty funny one if you
Yeah.
haven't seen it so far.
Yeah.
So Kyle's saying that he's visiting my mom out of town for only the second time this year on Saturday. Kids will be dropping through around the holidays. Quiet time on the homestead. Oh, that
Mm.
sounds like a nice holiday though.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to be visiting your mom. Um, it looks like you're going out of town to visit her, maybe
That's
this
nice.
Saturday. So hopefully that isn't too far out for you, and you have a good visit with your mom. Is it just for the Saturday and then you're headed back, or are you going to be spending a little bit more time with her? And yeah, like yeah, it's difficult. It's been difficult. And Kyle is saying the bomb is usually the worst, and it's only the eighth
I know,
sauce.
that's crazy.
Yeah, and people like as soon as it touches their mouth, it
Yeah.
they always
No
have
one
just a
says, "Oh, that's delicious." Like it's no one has anything good to say about it, about the taste or
yeah, the yeah. I don't think it's about the flavor
yeah.
with that one at all. And I'm not a spice person
No,
at
neither am
all,
I.
at all.
I
I
like a
would
little bit of spice, but nothing like that.
Yeah,
No.
I wouldn't even get through the first one.
Yeah.
I have well also like now with my um, the fact that I have like a GI related gastrointestinal related cancer. Um, I can't like do spicy food at all. But even before that, it was always I always have a bad reaction to it. Kyle is saying Paul Rudd had a really great Hot Ones. You
Mm.
know,
I think we missed that one.
I can't remember. I'll have to go back and maybe watch it again. But Jeremy Renner, we watched the
That
Jeremy
was a
Renner
good one
one
too. Yeah.
the other day too, or yesterday, and he was saying that Paul Rudd is one of the best people that that he knows. So I think that that's pretty cool. And he's I think was like people's sexiest man alive or something like that this year, which is a funny thing. I remember Paul Rudd from Clueless, and it
That's
just
going way back. Yeah.
yeah, and it's hilarious
Yeah.
to me that that
He
sort
was
of
he was also in one of the Halloween movies, like the worst one, like when he was super young,
oh
like where they Michael Myers was I don't know, some weird cult or something like that. I forget what it was, but he must have been like 19 or 20 years old or something.
I also don't watch any horror
Yeah,
movies,
she
so
doesn't like horror movies.
so any of these like
I just remember that because everyone says that's the worst Halloween movie, the one with Paul Rudd in
oh
it.
yeah.
Yeah, weird cult or whatever. So.
Mm, yeah. I mean, I don't. I guess it has to do with the story and
Mm.
stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, he was good in the 40-Year-Old Virgin.
Yeah. No, Paul Rudd's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll definitely have to watch the Hot Ones on that. And just a short day trip, about an hour away. Oh, yeah. And you mentioned it was only going to be like a second time this year, but I'm glad that you're getting out there, and hopefully you'll have good weather. Do that. What's the weather like out there? I'm wondering. We had really mild weather today, but pretty windy. It sounds like out.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm finding like we live in a building, and it was like really really warm. I found, which didn't help. I was and I mentioned this to Kyle in a quick email that I sent him, but today was just like I was just not like energy was super bad today because yesterday, I just hit a wall
Yeah.
in the evening. So I tried to get a few things done during the day, and we went for the bit of the walk to donate the donate the toys and things like that. And then there was just a time in the evening where I just
Mm-hmm.
hit the wall, just energetically. It was just done. It was petering during the day and stuff, but in the evening it was pretty tough. And then today, just didn't feel like I could get myself going. And right now I have some pet pills going. And there's Ifty. Hi, good evening, Ifty. How are you? Thank you for joining us. We're just talking about a few things before we figured we get started with like some holiday stuff that we were going to talk about. But I was just saying how just energetically I just hit a wall yesterday after just getting a few things done,
Mm-hmm.
and then this today was also a bit challenging. Just getting just having some energy. Like I just and it always makes me feel bad when I have like such like low energy because it feels
Mm-hmm.
like I'm being so lazy. Although I don't know. I don't know what I feel like there's a number of things I want to be doing and stuff like that. But yeah, so that was a challenge. But I've been resting. So tonight I have some energy and being able to talk to people and connect. It always really helps me with the energy. So thank you so much for coming on with us. And I asked Kyle, who is in Indianapolis, what the weather is like out there. And he's saying lots of high winds, tornado warnings,
Mm.
and mild weather. Mild weather apart from the tornadoes. In the 50s now. Crazy weather all around.
It's crazy. I wouldn't even know what to do in a tornado. I would just let's look my greatest fears
Yeah,
tornadoes.
Joe has. I wonder where that even
You know what?
originated
I don't
from.
know. I've had some nightmares. I think as a kid and maybe as a adult, once in a while of being sucked into a tornado
Oh goodness.
and I just yeah.
Hmm. I know that that's always been a bit of a joke between the two of us, but I know that that's actually like a real,
Yeah,
real,
because
real
what is
fear.
a tornado alley? It's buried to what, London,
Something,
something like that.
yeah,
Yeah. So
something. But also, I thought Windsor or
oh,
something
Windsor. Yeah, sorry. Buried to Windsor is like considered tornado alley. So when those tornadoes
up here in
happened in the
Ontario.
U.S., we felt the winds from it. Um, so yeah, I couldn't live in Kansas or anywhere like that
Hmm.
just because I'd be too freaked out about tornadoes.
Yeah, it's interesting though
Mm-hmm.
how like that is something that you developed. um, uh, yeah, there was Anyway,
Mm-hmm.
I'll talk about that. But Ifty also too. I've been thinking about changing the name of the channel, and if you have any suggestions for me, I would really appreciate it because I just feel like I don't know that this channel name doesn't really reflect. I don't know. This isn't. I'm just thinking a change would be kind of nice. And we might have a bot or something like that.
Hello,
Um, we'll see what that
Dark
is.
Reaper 45.
And yeah, so I think apart from that, the a quick health update before also just before we get started. I did my last chemo for the year this past Saturday, and I'm going to be taking a month long break. Um, and I'm going to be, so the next treatment is going to be sometime in mid January. But I mean, the one thing I'll just, mention this like really quickly. like the Omicron thing has just like really like creeped up on us. Not even creeped up, it's just really like came up on us like very, very quickly, it feels like. And I'm curious to see like how or if that's going to impact treatment for me at all. But I'm looking forward to having a few weeks break, and um, especially because my energy starts really ramping back up the second week after treatment. So probably after the weekend and stuff like that. So looking forward to getting some extra energy, but also spending some time recuperating because my neuropathy is a little bit so they have some uh, dullness or numbness in the in my fingers and things like that, and they're a little bit worried. The oncologists are a little bit worried about that, but I want to continue the the particular chemotherapy drug, the oxaliplatin, that has the neuropathy, just because I want to be able to have some kind of a baseline. I have a CT scan that's coming up on January 31st, and I want to see what impact this treatment, since restarting in September, has had up until the next CT scan, which is, like I mentioned, in January, at the end of January. And I don't necessarily want for the oxaliplatin to not be a part of the mix, so that we can get a sense of maybe what is working, what's not working. So that's my thinking on it. But the oncologists are thinking, well, if your neuropathy is so bad that you're dropping things or you're falling over, stuff like that, that they would rather drop it. But I think that I'm okay for the time being, but I guess we'll see in a few weeks. But if the I asked about the channel name, and he's talking something something
Something
Blue
Blue
Jays
Jays related.
related. Yeah, I wonder if that might end up being um, that people would feel like it's too focused on J stuff. I mean, although we do a
Yeah,
lot of J stuff
yeah,
anyway,
that's true. Yeah.
but I mean, maybe we can put something Jays related, because that's definitely something that
Mhm.
happens. Wow, this came up really little. I've seen over 100 tornadoes. Oh my
Oh my
God,
God.
firsthand. Taking many pictures and videos on a trip back to North Carolina from where I was in the military.
Mm.
So 9 tornadoes and a double rainbow on the highway.
No,
Holy
I couldn't
mackerel.
handle it, Kyle. Even when we went to was it Universal years ago, I couldn't even go into the Twister ride.
Yes, you
I
did.
know, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding on that one.
Sorry, I was yelling there, but yeah, when we went to
No, but
Universal.
I don't know what I would do if I saw a tornado. I'd run the other way, I think.
Or maybe drive the other way,
Right.
hopefully. Like, running might not necessarily be a
Hmm.
thing, but that's the all the things that Kyle.
Do you want to tell the funny joke that happened to us?
No, you go ahead. I don't know
Okay, well,
the funny
a
joke.
few years ago in Toronto, like I don't know, maybe 10 years ago, there was a tornado warning, and that's very unusual for Toronto as a city. Usually it's Barrie or on the outskirts, and you could feel the wind and stuff. And we were sitting here, and it was getting windier and windier, just from the balcony and stuff. And I was in my socks, and then I just kind of got worried, and I said, "I'm gonna put my shoes on," so I had them. And she always found that hilarious. So
I'm like, what are you gonna do now that you have your shoes on? He's like, I'm going to the basement. I'm like, okay. And then what are you gonna?
yes,
But it was, I mean, if you're gonna try to get away, like I'm sure, like
yeah, yeah.
it's
I
best to
mean,
have your shoes on.
yeah, for sure. If I get sucked away,
You
I want some shoes on. I can't be walking in rubble and my socks.
if you
It's
get
like that
sucked up in a,
movie. What was it? The Impossible about the flood.
oh, I guess so.
That actually had Tom. Tom
Tom
Holland
Holland in
as a
it.
kid, his
Mm-hmm.
first. Yeah, so I saw that a few months ago, and I mean that whole movie. It's just people walking around like unprepared. And,
Well, and they were in a beach town, so they probably wouldn't wearing like sandals and
yeah,
stuff
yeah, for
like that
sure.
too.
So
Yeah.
it's not gonna happen to me. I'll
No.
tell you. On my shoes on.
Kyle says positive vibes for healing recovery. Thank you so much. And Ifty was asking, have any of your treatments timing ever been affected by COVID? Um, I don't think any treatments have been,
Mm.
but I would say that maybe some of my testing, so like CT scans and getting certain results back, um, have been affected by COVID. But so far, Princess Margaret Hospital, which is where Princess Margaret Cancer Center, I think that it's very
Mm.
specific to cancer treatments, which I'm very fortunate um, to have close by and to be treated at. They haven't had to um, so Princess Margaret hasn't had to do anything to have COVID ICU stuff happen there. There was some talk of that, from my understanding. Last year, probably around this time, they were wondering if the ICUs around Toronto would be so overrun that they would have had to actually um, go into some of the units in the cancer hospital, but they haven't had to do that, and they were very, from my understanding, they were very concerned if they had to do that because of course, like the vulnerability of folks who have cancer, like to have ICU COVID ICU units in a cancer hospital, and they were going to start having oncologists and things like that, like treat COVID patients and things, and they were saying it's like we're not equipped to be able to do that and stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, like some tough stuff. But I personally haven't been able. I personally haven't. I don't think been impacted by it. Apart from just knowing. That you could tell even the front line, like the healthcare workers at the cancer hospital, like they're feeling the stress of things that are going on too. So um if he's saying, do you remember Rico Cardi and John Mayberry?
Yeah, they're Blue Jays. I remember John Mayberry, which was like an old Blue Jays player, I believe.
Who's Rico Cardi? They're a Blue Jays player.
I don't know who Rico Cardi is, but John Mayberry, um, I believe he a catcher? John Mayberry, or he hit the Jays first. Oh no, that was Begault, I think.
Mm.
But yeah, John Mayberry, I kind of remember him.
I was talking to someone on Twitter, and he goes, yep, they were Jays in the late 70s
Early
to early
80s, yeah.
80s. I wasn't even in Canada
Mm.
in the late 70s, which is going to be interesting. Like, one of the things, like, to talk about, like, holiday movies and things like that, because there's a lot of stuff that I
Mm.
haven't seen as a result of that. I was going to say something and I forgot.
About the Blue Jays or late 70s?
Maybe about something else
Oh,
altogether. I can't remember.
oh, you
Um,
something. Some people don't know who.
some people don't know
Isn't that
who.
what you said?
Some people don't know who. No,
Some J. Okay,
I don't.
never mind.
Don't remember. But I mean, it is true. Like, when the funny thing about this is, Ifty was saying I met
Oh,
them after a game. They're both huge.
yeah, yeah. Baseball players are massive. Like they don't look big. Like they're big guys, but you can't tell on TV
How big?
how big. Because there was one time a couple years back. We
X-Men
went to
too.
this Jay's Winterfest, uh, where they had this
We did a tour,
a tour of
the
the
production.
Rogers Center so we were walking down the hallway and it was Vladdy Jr. And he wasn't even playing then.
He was. They just brought him up.
They just brought him
They
up,
just brought him up.
and it was George Bell behind him.
Mm-hmm.
He was the smallest out of.
And there was
and there was
another guy. There was another guy.
Pineapple. Was it him?
Yeah, I think Guriel.
Yeah, Guriel.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, Vladdy Jr. was massive. They were all huge. But
Huge.
George Bell, who was a big guy, he was the smallest out of all of them.
Mm-hmm. And they
But
walked
it was
by. And
they walked by, and it was just like really
and
exciting.
even the Vlad isn't like a super tall guy or anything, but he is a broad guy.
Yeah.
He's like kind of hulky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a friend of mine in the late 80s, early 90s. My friend Rob worked at the Sky Dome as a sky stalker. That was the job title. So basically, what that was you would run and go get food for some of the VIP boxes and stuff like that, right? So, but then and it was actually good money for whatever 1988, 89 when it opened, and he became bartender in some of the boxes and stuff, and he says that he used to see Tom Henke, um, and he said he like just walked down the hall and he was massive. So he's like, it's crazy. Like,
well, the time that
big,
we saw
like
Cito Gaston.
Yeah, Cito Gaston.
We saw Cito Gaston on like walking down the street with his wife, and his
jogging.
wife was.
They were jogging down Queen Street.
They were.
Yeah.
I thought they were just walking.
No. He was jogging, both of them down Queen
Both
West.
huge.
Yeah, huge.
Both huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if he's like, yeah, this is Vladdy. Vladdy is like wide and bulky.
Mm-hmm.
I guess like maybe not so much now.
Yeah.
He's probably not as wide, but he's still like a good. I would imagine he's a pretty solid guy. And Henke.
Yeah, Henke was huge.
Yeah, some of these pictures, so big. But yeah, like one of the coolest things though about going to Winterfest, and I guess I'm thinking, I thought this year maybe they might do something, but I don't think they're gonna do something now, like based on like what's going on with the Omicron and everything like that. But I was hoping that they would do the Winterfest at the Sky Dome, because it is so cool. Like they have a lot of different opportunities.
You can meet players. Meet Charlie
Montoya.
Yeah. When he first took over.
Yeah.
You can meet him.
And sit in the dugout, like to get pictures in the dugout and stuff like that. And meet
old players.
Meet old players. I got to.
I'm getting right now.
I got to. What was that? So this is
a photo of us. With Ernie Witt and Jack Morris. These guys were huge too. I mean, look how small we are.
We are. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, because I remember, you meet them, and it doesn't cost anything.
Well, yeah, because it's a good it's a good fan fest night.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And shook his hand. It's just like, oh my God, you're a giant.
Yeah.
And I said, oh, congratulations on the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. Jack Morris, though, I don't think like he just looked kind of like bemused by the whole thing. Ifty said, I went to a Bison's game back when all the kids were playing there. I'll have to find the pics. That would have been pretty. Cool. That would have been really cool.
Yeah, we were hoping to get to a Bison's game, but with everything, it's.
I mean, the thing though is that there's a reason why they were playing in Buffalo,
right. Yeah,
and it's because we couldn't, like, people couldn't go over.
But even before
that's true.
The lockdown
that's
and
true.
everything, we were thinking about going. So it's not that far away.
Yeah. So it is like we do end up talking about baseball, but yeah. So the thing that
Kudo.
here's Kudo, or Kitty, and well, it's Joe's kitty, really. They're obsessed with each other, right? Yes, that's true. You're looking at me.
She had to have dental surgery this week and
Yeah.
get a tooth removed.
So she's like pretty much been babied. She gets more babied than me. There's no babying for me. But yeah. So the thing that we were gonna talk about today is like holiday stuff. So I know. Well, first of all, I'm not really a lot of fun with this one because, like I said, I immigrated here when I was 6. I didn't mention that. I immigrated to Canada in 1980 when I was 6, and so I don't have a frame of reference for like a lot of like childhood type stuff. Like, and my parents didn't know anything about this kind of stuff either, so I didn't really watch any of um, the TV specials or anything like that. So I don't know a whole lot about that kind of stuff. But I know that like a lot of people have their favorites and their preferences for things. So I'm curious to know, like, maybe we'll start off with like TV.
Yeah.
Like, in what
TV specials.
yeah, like a holiday. What was your favorite holiday?
Well, I mean, I actually wrote a couple down. You know, number one, it's got to be a Charlie Brown Christmas,
Mm,
which is back here the record. Um, just it looks very primitive now because it was done the animation done in 1965, but I think it still holds up, and the story and the characters are and the music is timeless, and I always watch that every year. Like, I remember as a kid, it would always be on CBC, and they would like string a whole bunch of those specials together, like the Grinch and Charlie Brown and Rudolph and some of that stuff. So
mm,
that's got to be like the number one for me
mm-hmm.
for TV specials. Number two, I gotta say probably the Grinch Who Stole Christmas.
I don't know that I've ever seen that.
Yeah, I mean it's a classic. It's definitely the Dr. Seuss story that sticks in my head the most
Mm,
from childhood. That and Mulberry Street, I guess.
mm.
Um,
The story wise, you mean?
Story
Yeah.
wise, and it's narrated by Boris Karloff, which is
Oh,
pretty cool.
yeah. That I didn't
Like,
know
I think
that.
that's one of the last things he did
Mm.
before he passed away. So it was done in the
Oh
late
wow.
'60s, and it's animated by Chuck Jones, who did all the Looney Tunes cartoons,
Mm.
the whole Duck, Rabbit, Rabbit. So it's in that kind of style,
Mm.
and it's a classic story, and it holds up.
Mm-hmm. So if these with you, with the Charlie Brown Christmas, that's probably one of the only ones I've seen.
Mm.
I I gotta say about the TV specials, as I'm a huge, for people who know me, I'm a huge Snoopy and Woodstock fan. It's not that I'm actually into the Peanuts.
Yeah, she doesn't
It's
like the
I don't like the
kids.
kids. Uh,
I don't get it. I don't know why she doesn't. She hates Charlie
I don't
Brown.
like the kids. But there's something about Snoopy and Woodstock. I think that, first of all, Snoopy is just this character that um, is kind of this might be fun for you, if like I feel like it's a little Calvin and Hobbes, like, in that, like, like Snoopy's like the original Calvin, I think, where he has his imagination, he has his own um his own kind of like life going. It doesn't matter whether the kids are around or
Mm.
not. I mean, he already has like all kinds of stuff that's going on. It's way more interesting most of the time
Mm.
than what the kids are up to. And Woodstock is kind of like his Hobbs, really. And
Mm.
so that's what I really, really love about Snoopy and Woodstock. I think the kids are just distractions,
Mm.
to be honest. And but that's sad. I mean, I've read all the, I think probably a good majority of the strips, the Schultz strips and things like that, and what they used to publish in the newspapers and things. I'm not a fan of the animation style
Well, I mean, it's
of the TV show stuff.
yeah. I mean, it's limited animation for sure, and I mean, it's you know almost 60 years old,
Mm.
like in a few more years, which is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the general story and the theme of it still hold up, you
Mm.
know. And I mean, you got that classic scene with the
The
Peanuts dance,
dancing.
and there's actually a funny thing on YouTube. A guy has 10 hours of that, just like in a loop. So you see
There's people
Shermie and all the
dancing.
weird
Yeah.
kids going. Dun,
Oh, I mean, and there is something to that that I think is
dun. Mhm.
like spirit lifting,
Yeah.
definitely. But I think the um, Apple has a bunch of Apple TV Plus. I don't know, and it's kind of
The Snoopy
confusing.
show.
The Snoopy show, and they have the kids in it, but again, I think that there is more of a focus on Snoopy and Woodstock, and I quite like those. They're I think they're super cute. Yeah, and then this Snoopy happiness is Kyle is saying. Yeah, so I and there's a bunch of stuff on YouTube too, where I guess like there's a French company or something like that that's animating a bunch of
Yeah, like it's in Flash or
yeah.
something, but it
I
looks
don't
good.
know that it's Flash. Like
Well,
it just doesn't, it's not as like it's not super CG or anything like
hmm
that. And I actually quite like it. And sorry to go off on a tangent there, but I know a lot of people love the Charlie Brown Christmas. And
it's a tradition.
it is definitely a tradition. And in terms of movies, I think we'll get to that, but It's a Wonderful Life
Hmm
is definitely a beautiful
Yeah,
movie.
I've only seen bits and pieces of that. I really do have to watch the whole thing.
Yeah, no, it's the older movies. It's nice because
Hmm
they're paced differently, and they tell a different kind of a story. I feel like than a lot of the movies, that's
Yeah.
made now. Like now it's all about like keep interest and make
hmm
things quick and have things
Special
happen all the
effects. Yeah,
time and all that stuff. And so it's nice to like have something like
like old films.
It's a Wonderful Life where it's just
And,
is it allows you to really take in the
hmm
story as opposed to just next scene, next scene, next scene kind of
hmm
thing. So Kyle's saying, I had a Santa suit for over 30 years.
Nice.
Now I'm Papa cause I'm very partial to Bad Santa. Love all the original cartoons and Rankin Bass stop action shows. Yeah, so
Mm-hmm.
the I was gonna say that my favorite TV show is actually Rudolph.
hmm
Um, I think that
It's amazing what they did with just some plasticine um, characters, like stop motion animation. It must have taken so long.
but I mean, it's endured.
Oh, for
It was
sure.
certainly worth it for them to have done it all those years ago
Hmm
because people are still watching it, and I think that that's also pretty awesome too. That the fact that after all this time that they're still they're still played,
hmm
um, and that people watch them and that people are familiar with them. There's something else that I've been trying to remember that's really cute. That was probably something from the 90s, but Olive. There's something called Olive that was a TV special that was a little bit newer. It's super cute too. I'd love to see a picture of you, Kyle, as Papa Claus. I think that would be so cute. um, and like you said
Yep,
before, the Snoopy
Snoopy
Happy
Happy
Dance.
Dance. Yeah,
It's
classic.
yeah, and that's it. Like that's Snoopy is like he is he's awesome as far as I'm concerned anyway. Um, and Kyle is saying, "A Wish for Wings That Works" is a classic. I've never heard of
No.
this. It's the Bloom County cartoon. Oh,
Oh,
okay, Bloom
okay.
County. Has Robin Williams in it. Oh,
Interesting.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that Bloom County had a
Animated.
holiday kind of a special
Yeah.
thing. Yeah, or
Yeah. I
even
used
an
to read
animated
that
thing.
and, every Sunday, read the newspaper. It was Peanuts, Bloom County, Calvin and Hobbes. I think it was like the Toronto, no,
The
Toronto Star.
Toronto Star had them.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Um, and Ifti is saying, I think as the quality of TV has gotten better, I just can't watch Rudolph
Oh.
anymore. Yeah, you see, well, not the actual hardware of TVs have gotten better,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's true. We still have like an older um, HD TV, so I
Mm-hmm.
can't even like sometimes we go into like a Best Buy and stuff and look at
Yeah.
the TV high definition stuff now. I'm like, oh my god,
Mm-hmm.
like why would you want to
I know.
see
I
so?
mean, it's so clear and stuff, but I don't know if I could handle the brightness. But I guess you can turn it down too.
Yeah, but it is so. I mean, it's so realistic looking.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty crazy. Kyle is saying, I'll pull some of my Santa shots off. That would be great. I would love
Nice.
to see that. That would be so awesome. Um,
I wonder if there's any Santas in malls now.
there are some Santas in malls. I do you remember like we saw something on YouTube recently where um, there are certain places where they can't find enough Santas. There is they have like a Santa shortage, but then there is also some Santas that
Doing
are
house
house
calls.
calls, um, and yeah, because remember like, there was that family. They were sitting in their backyard
Mm-hmm.
on some they look actually like couches or sofas or whatever, and they had their kids out and excuse me, Santa shows up and he had a drink with them or something. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of funny, but I guess they have like a Santa shortage. So Kyle, there might be something for you, perhaps that might be of interest. Um, but yeah, I mean, but it also is so hard because even if you do have Santa, you can't have the kids like sitting on Santa's lap or I mean, there's
Yeah.
probably a generation of kids like so there's probably like these kids that are growing up thinking that you just like keep space from people.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like okay, there's been like what 2 Christmases now, pandemic Christmases where there are probably kids who are like, okay, I guess we stand 3 feet away
Mm-hmm.
from Santa. So whenever they go back to like sitting on like Santa's lap or something, or if that ever happens, they're probably like, what is this? Why am I sitting on this like
Yeah.
guy's lap now? Ifty is saying, laugh out loud. We got a new TV last Boxing Day. The picture quality is so amazing. My computer monitor resolution was better than our old TV. It was a COVID purchase.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, with everybody like staying at home and like looking at screens,
Mm-hmm.
it would make sense to have that investment in having it during this time for sure. Um, and Kyle is saying, I've got some original Opus drawings. Oh my gosh. Goodness. All the time. Blowing my
Wow.
mind. Along with having most of my Bloom County collected books signed by him.
Wow.
Been asked to do a video on my channel about that
Yeah,
stuff
you
too.
should.
You should,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. I actually saw an Opus, I think, in a thrift store, like a little plushie,
Hmm.
but it had like a stain on the beak.
Hmm.
It's kind of cool that it's
People don't really talk about Bloom County too much, do they? I
you know
mean, it's interesting
it was
because
a great strip,
oh
and
yeah.
he ended it and he did Outland, I think it, and I don't know what happened after that. But he started taking the characters and putting them into Outland. If any, it's a deep cut for somebody, I guess.
Outland.
Yeah,
So
where he had Mickey Mouse as a rat, like whatever his name, Morty the Rat, or I don't know. I could be getting that wrong.
oh,
But he ended Bloom County, and then he did Outland, and I think the only character was maybe Opus that
that made the
that
transition,
I think so.
or
Yeah.
that didn't make the
No,
transition.
he came over, and then I think I don't know. I could be way off on that. I'm
Mm.
sure. I'm sure Kyle would know
Mm.
more than I would.
It's too bad though, that there were like these other strips.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd imagine with something like Bloom County, there wasn't really too much that was marketable. Maybe like there was Bill the
I don't.
Cat and Opus, I
Yeah,
think, right?
yeah. But everybody, like in my public school, people used to draw Bill the Cat on their binders and stuff like that.
Yeah, but I mean, the fact that most people, if you were to ask somebody, probably in their 30s, about Bloom County, probably I don't I bet there wouldn't be too many people who know anything about Bloom County.
Mm.
And even the Far Side. Like when somebody the other day, I think the last um, live stream that we had, like we were talking about the Far Side. I mean,
I
people,
remember it.
yeah, like people don't know those strips
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
anymore. Um,
I don't even know. Yeah.
or even as a medium,
Mm-hmm.
like comics
Yeah.
aren't. People when they hear comics, um, they think
Funnies.
no, I think people think Marvel and DC,
Yeah.
right? They don't think as
Mm-hmm.
comics as these other things that also, you know, um, that people used to read in newspapers and things like that. I think, but yeah, I mean, because I'm more of a '90s kid, I think about stuff like Bloom County and the Far Side. But
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I haven't apart from us talking about it in this way, like I haven't thought about those
Mm-hmm.
things in a long time, and I'm sure that the younger folks probably don't know anything about stuff even if you were to bring out like an Opus now, people here might know,
Mm-hmm.
but somebody coming along might be like, oh, what is that
Maybe.
weird looking penguin?
Maybe.
It's cute penguin. He is a penguin, right? Opus. Okay. He transferred the characters to Outland for a while. Did Mars Needs Moms,
Never heard of that.
which
Made
was
into a
made into
movie
movie, has been new online strips for the last.
a few years now. Oh,
Oh, there
okay.
are new ones, so
All right.
he's still doing stuff.
That's cool.
Hey, it's James. Hi, James.
Hey, James.
Hello. I hope you're doing well and happy holidays. We're talking about we've so far have gotten to our TV specials, our favorite TV specials, but we also haven't talked about our least favorite, have we?
No.
um, like what oh, Kyle is saying he was also the artist and character inspiration in the movie Secondhand Lions too.
Hmm.
Character inspiration. I'm gonna write down Secondhand Lions. That sounds like something that would be up my. I don't. I get very emotionally invested in stories and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very selective about the kinds of things that I watch. But something like when I hear something like Secondhand Lions, I'm like, that sounds like a movie that I could get into, or like some kind of a thing that I can get into. So I'm gonna look into that. So thank you so much. And James is like, "Hello, YouTube told me to say
Say,
something."
say. Nice.
So thank you for saying something. And Meow's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
We did have a bit of a cameo from Kudo earlier, and she's she's
She hopped down.
she's gone now. But thank you, and I hope you're doing well, James. And yeah, like, can you share with us what your favorite TV holiday TV special or show is, or was,
Yeah.
or
I also just it wasn't my favorite, but I did like it. Is that episode of Happy Days, like an early one, where the Fonz was having Christmas by himself in their
Oh,
garage, and like Richie Cunningham, like sees him and brings him back to the house and all that kind of stuff.
whoa, whoa,
That
whoa, whoa. Back up for a second.
mm,
So the Fonz
right.
was he living with them already, or
No, no, he was
did he live
just
with them?
he did like he lived above them in the
Okay,
garage,
okay,
but that's like an early one, I think.
yeah.
So he's at the garage. He's like, "Oh, I've got this big thing going on, and you know, gotta see all these relatives and that." And then I think Richie comes back and sees that he's eating like spam in the
Oh,
garage or something.
yeah.
So he invites him over. Something along those lines that sticks out in my head in terms of like classic sort of TV.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah,
Wow, that's sad, but
it's
I think
before Happy Days went like bizarre. Like when you had Mork from Mork coming down and the Fonz was jumping over sharks and all that stuff. Like it was like when it was still grounded in the 50s, and
right,
no
some
one
kind
was
of
wearing
reality.
yeah, no one was wearing like bell bottoms and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, I can't say again. It's not a
Because if
lot.
you look like the early Happy Days, it's pretty much like American Graffiti, the
Right,
look of it and
right.
stuff, and then it starts warping into this weird.
Yeah,
Uh,
I guess like when Mork showed up, that's probably
it was crazy. The Fonz was fighting gangsters and all this crazy stuff. And, anyways,
um.
oh yeah,
First, if he was saying, I vaguely remember that.
yes,
Maybe not to the not to the detail that Joe
right.
remembers it, but um, James is saying least favorite TV special, the live version of A Christmas
Oh,
Story.
oh my God,
When did that happen?
great movie.
But the but the live version of A Christmas Story.
Mm-hmm.
When I wonder when that happened. And actually that reminds me, because you were the one that reminded me of it. The live version of Sound of Music that they did a little while ago.
A couple years
Yeah,
ago.
with I think Carrie Underwood. I would say that was pretty bad.
Yeah, that was really bad.
That was really bad.
Yeah, because that was live on network TV, and we were
Yeah.
watching it. It was weird. Like it was just like your voice. I mean, she can sing and stuff, but it just didn't fit those songs, and it was like, why? Like you got the movie. Like why would you even try to do this
Well,
live? Like,
well, sometimes I mean I've watched Broadway shows
mm-hmm,
that have been recorded, or like even operas and things
mm-hmm,
like that have been recorded, and they're on the stage, and so they have it, so you see the actual live production of it that they've recorded, but there was just something to the Sound of Music thing where I don't know if like no one had
yeah,
chemistry or like what it was.
it was just
It
weird.
was just really awkward. It was just really strange. So thank you, James, for
Yes,
reminding me of the Sound of Music. But can you tell us a little bit about
a live
the live
Christmas
version of
story.
A Christmas Story, like when that was, and perhaps I wonder if any of the original. No, I mean
No,
that wouldn't make any sense. But um, yeah, that's weird. Kyle says, "Oh look, I have an extra DVD copy of the Wish for Wings cartoon." Just,
mm, oh
I mean, yeah,
yes,
that would be a lot of fun,
yeah,
especially since we've been talking about
Bloom
Boone
County.
County. Yeah, that would be great. Jeez, that's so amazing. Kyle has so many of these
So
things,
many great
so many
things. Yeah.
things. Um, but did you talk about like
My
your
worst?
least favorite?
No, I haven't. So this is probably an obvious one. So we're on to what worst holiday specials.
So for now, yeah.
Yeah, it's gotta be the Star Wars holiday
Ah.
special from 1978. And you know what? I remember that as a kid wanting to see that so badly,
Oh.
and I missed it because my parents didn't have cable back then.
Mm.
But then I saw it years later on YouTube, and it's still up on YouTube
Yeah, yeah, you can
in
find
bits and
it.
pieces. It is just so awful. Like, oh
But
my
like,
god, it's like 70s TV, and just like it's so bad. It's like Chewbacca and his son Lumpy, and
Lumpy.
Harrison Ford's there, and Mark Hamill and Carrie Fisher. She's like forced to sing the song. It's just so bad, and you know the
But is
old.
it so bad it's good
Uh, it,
at this
no, I.
point?
You know what? It's not even. I saw. I tried to watch it a while back, a year or so ago, and I just couldn't get through it. I was just
Mm.
like, it's so bad. It's like B. Arthur and Art Carney from the Honeymooners, and it's just like so.
B. Arthur is a
Harvey. I
strange,
know it's so weird, and
strange
then there's like
choice.
Donna Summer, I think,
But that would kind of make
or
sense.
Diane Carroll singing, and it's so weird. Like it's just like low budget TV, and you kind of see why George Lucas never wanted this thing
Sure.
re-released and destroyed the copies of it. So there's only like blurry versions of it on YouTube, but it's just so bad. I mean, that's got to be one of the worst holiday specials. Like,
Uh huh.
y-
They're gonna have some kind of a holiday special on Disney Plus this year. I forget what it is. The Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special
mm,
or something like that. And I think it's supposed to be sort of like a send up on the
that
Star Wars
one.
thing. I could be wrong, but there is some kind of a Christmas special that's supposed to be um, kind of sort of like a nudge nudge sort of thing to the Star Wars thing. But yeah, I mean it's an infamous one that people talk
Oh
about
yeah,
for sure.
yeah.
Just to go back to the Happy Days thing, who would have guessed that Richard would become a successful director, a very successful
Mm-hmm.
director, and even Miriam would
Marion,
be proud.
yes.
um,
Well, Ron Howard was always, as a child actor, and Andy Griffith was always learning about film and making little movies, and I think he did some work for Roger
Roger
Corman
Corman.
too. So he was, I think he maybe filmed a couple episodes of Happy Days before he left.
That I don't know.
Like, but yeah, I mean, you knew he was going to be a director
But
at some point.
what's interesting now though is that his daughter, um, Ron Howard's daughter,
Mm-hmm.
I forget her name. She's also directing now.
Mm-hmm.
Not only is she an actress, like she was in the new Jurassic Park movies, but she directed, I think, a couple of the Mandalorians. No, yeah, the Mandalorians, right?
I guess so.
You don't remember?
I don't know.
And that's so she's doing that, and that's also, I guess, a legacy, that they have a bit of a dynasty going on over there. Um, James is saying, I like the movie Sound of Music. Didn't care for the live
No,
one.
it wasn't good.
The movie though, that's I think the one movie that I do um, associate with Christmas growing up, because it was always on during the holidays,
Mm-hmm.
and like my parents and I, like, we didn't really celebrate Christmas, but we'd be home and it'd always be on
Mm-hmm.
around that time. So and I wonder why that is. I wonder why, like,
Because I think it does have some Christmas stuff in it, if I'm not so mistaken.
they have, maybe because they have the concert where they run away.
Oh yeah,
That's
it.
during the
That's it.
holidays or
Yeah,
something like that.
right.
But it's not explicitly very Christmassy. But I do remember always watching Sound of Music around the holidays. But yeah, I don't know why they did that live thing, and it was not very good at all. And no one can compare to Julie Andrews as far as I'm concerned
Mm-hmm.
too. So it's a very,
Yeah, that's something they shouldn't ever remake
but they
again.
do they do stuff like that all the time, which is very strange. So the Christmas Story live was from
Mm,
2017.
crazy.
So I wonder.
There's a Christmas Story Part 2, which is weird. I had no idea.
Oh, like a
Like
movie.
a film, yeah.
Hmm. That is strange. I wonder if folks that are on right now, if you can also share your least favorite um,
Holiday
holiday
special.
special. James has told us that it's the, and he didn't care for the Sound of Music one,
Mhm.
but he also didn't care for um, the Christmas story. Um, and the Christmas story is interesting for me too. I don't really have any kind of like a connection with that too much
Yeah.
either. But
I love the film. I mean, it's the first film. It was always on TV. It's the guy who did Porky's. I don't know if you knew that. Like the
no, I did not know. You mean the director?
yes, Bob Clark, I think his name is. So
Okay.
yeah, so first Porky's Christmas Story.
Now, oh, you learn new things
Yes,
every
there you
day.
go. Yes.
But Peter Billingsley, right? Isn't he the
Yeah.
kid in the
Mhm.
Christmas story? So he also ended up like doing like directing and stuff like that. And one of the things that he did, not as the director really, but he created Drunk History,
Mhm.
which you could see online,
That's funny.
where he
Yeah.
gets people super drunk and gets them to tell like some kind of like a historical story
Story like
about something. And it is, I think, like
oh my god, yeah,
he
it's
conceived of that. I think it's pretty funny. um Ifty says, wasn't there a National Lampoon Christmas Vacation
there
movie?
was I think that was the third one with Chevy Chase. That's all right too. I mean, I don't remember a lot of that because I've seen the first Vacation a bunch of times. Like that's just like a classic uh, 80s movie and Chevy Chase movie, I guess. But the third one I haven't seen that much. Maybe once or twice on TV.
I've never seen
Vegas Vacation too.
I've never seen any of the National
Yes,
Lampoon
I don't.
stuff.
Well, Anthony Michael Hall is in the first Vacation, and he's like before.
Like any of the John Hughes
Yeah,
stuff.
he's super young. So
Hmm. He was on a podcast recently with the guy who used the Smallville guy, who
yeah,
did the
yeah.
Lex Luthor on Smallville.
Oh, that's interesting.
He has he has a podcast, and I think Anthony Michael Hall was
Yeah.
on that. He doesn't look anything
No, he's
like, you know what fascinates me, like totally off topic about anything, but it to me it's very interesting that there are some people when they're like kids, they or like throughout their entire lives they just look like the same person. There are some people, it's like you see them from their kid to like however old they are, and they look like the same person. And then there are some people who look like completely different. They
mm-hmm.
don't look like the same person at all at different times in their lives. And Anthony Michael Hall, or whatever his name is, he's one of those guys who I have like, if I were to see him now, the only reason why I knew it was him is because on the thumbnail it said his name.
Right.
If I were to just see him, I would have no idea that it was the same kid who was in 16
Mm-hmm.
Candles or. Um,
Yeah, he's a really big guy. Actually, I you know I saw him. He's in the new Halloween movie,
mm,
Halloween Kills. His head shaved, and he almost looks like a goon or something like
yeah,
that.
he's
He's running
he's
around
a
with a
big guy,
baseball
right?
bat trying to find Michael Myers and stuff. But it's yeah. I mean, you wouldn't know it's Anthony Michael Hall
Hmm.
at all. So.
So now that you mentioned Home Alone, Ifty, we'll talk about movies. Actually, we'll
Home
move.
Alone. Yeah,
We'll.
I saw that in the theater when it came
Did
out.
you? How many times?
Just once. Yeah, just once.
Because there are movies where Joe has seen in the theater multiple
Mm-hmm.
times, and I'm like, that's kind of a
Like
crazy
Indiana
thing.
Jones,
Back,
Temple of Doom, I saw like probably like six, 7 times. And Return of the Jedi, I saw a bunch of
yeah,
times,
that's
and
crazy.
Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, I probably saw that a few times. Back to the Future, yeah, it's something you did. I guess you just would see if you really like the movie a lot, you see it again because you
It,
couldn't there.
yeah,
It wouldn't be out on videotape
right,
like
right,
in 3 months, right? So you just would see it over and over and over. So.
yeah, yeah. I mean that was a moment in time for sure,
Mhm.
when you weren't able to have like media at home that you can just watch. So if you really liked something, it was something that you would go watch, I guess, over and over again. But even I think back in the '80s or whenever, it didn't ever occur to me to want to see a movie more than once in the theater. But but I know, because we were watching. Was it like the Honey? Remember we were watching um, a dating show or something like that. I think it was a John Boy thing, and
Mhm.
they were watching
Oh,
the
an old dating show,
dating
yeah.
show or a honeymoon thing or
Mhm.
honeymoon uh, game show, and they were
Mhm.
asking about, has your husband watched a movie more than twice in a theater or something like that, and there's this whole conversation about how um, I mean, I guess the John Boy guys were talking about it after the fact, that it's like, no, that would have been a thing,
Mhm.
because they wouldn't be able to just watch it at home. Like
Yeah,
if you like the movie, it's not like
yeah.
you're just gonna buy it and
They
watch it
did
at home.
have movies on like Super 8,
Oh
but
right,
it was just like so cut down. You
cut
get
down.
like it wouldn't be like a 2 hour movie. It'd be so cut down on Super 8, like in different reels. And um, I remember my father bought a Super 8 projector when I guess those were dying and VCRs were coming in, and it was just like horrible sound. Hear the projector go
What would make it Super
constantly.
8? Like what?
It was just called Super 8, 8 millimeter. Yeah, I
8 millimeter.
believe so.
Mm.
But yeah, I mean, it was not good quality, and you had to pull up a giant screen, and it's crazy. And that would have been like 1980 or
Mm.
81 or something,
Mm-hmm.
just before VCRs, and then he got a VCR.
And then yeah, we before we talked about VHSs and beta.
Yeah, for
We had
sure.
somebody who had like
Betamax.
Betamax still. Um, but yeah, so favorite holiday movie. Um, did you already share yours?
Uh, I didn't. I didn't. I probably have a couple. Favorite holiday movie. Um, I'm gonna say three. Um, so I'm gonna say A Christmas Story.
Mm.
I remember watching that a bunch as a kid. I'm gonna say Die Hard 1 because that's totally got a
Yeah,
Christmas theme, and
yeah.
it's just such a great movie, action movie,
Mm.
wrap it around Christmas, and
It's considered a Christmas movie
it
now.
is, yeah.
Yeah.
And my third choice is going to be a little bit offbeat. I'm going to pick Laurel and Hardy, Big Business. It's a silent film. Um, Why are you laughing? But it's basically,
How
um,
old are
it's like 1920, I think, or 21, or something like that. But basically, it's a silent film, and it's Laurel and Hardy driving around California trying to sell Christmas trees in July, and it just shenanigans happen. And people are like they're knocking on doors trying to sell Christmas trees, and it's definitely worth watching. It's on YouTube. It's
What's it
hilarious.
called?
Laurel and Hardy, Big
Big
Business,
Business. There you go.
and you have to watch that sometimes.
I didn't see that one coming, even though I should have, because Joe's a big Laurel and Hardy fan. James is saying, don't have any favorite Christmas TV specials, but I love the original Christmas Story movie.
Yeah.
And I tried to read the book that the movie is based on. It's called God In God We Trust. Oh, there's gonna be cash. And James also says Home Alone. The first two are great.
There's like 5 of them now. I think it's crazy.
Yeah, and they're different people in them,
Yeah.
right? They're not all Macaulay.
Yeah. I think it'd be fun if they just did another one with him now. And he's 40-year-old guy running around.
He's an interesting character, Macaulay Culkin, because apparently, like he has all this money from when he was younger, and he just has an apartment in Paris that he likes to just paint in and things like that. Like some of the stuff that he talks about, and like he'll be on a podcast every so often, or he started a podcast. So in order to get people to listen to his podcast, he was on other podcasts, and just like the kind of stuff that he talks about, it just sounds like he's on a different planet, like he lives in a different world. And I imagine that's sort of what successful child actors ended up kind of like, because they're in their own little weird bubble. That it's like it doesn't even seem like he lives on Earth with everybody else. Kyle says, "I love Laurel and Hardy, Keaton, Chapman, and the like." It's just I guess for me, it's just an unexpected thing that sometimes Joe will all of a sudden kind of like pull out like this kind of an interest, because I certainly don't think that when we first met, um, like 14, 15 years ago or whatever, um, I would have known that you like not that that would have changed anything, but then all of a sudden in the last few years, Joe is all of a sudden like super into Laurel and Hardy, and I'm like, okay. But it's just
Well,
a
it's just
surprising thing, you know.
it's just interesting because of how old it was, and just a lot of the jokes, um, and just the humor too.
Mm. Mm-hmm. But it's just, you know what I mean? It's just surprising, because you would you can maybe think it's so totally out of left field. But that's sort of what I say about you a lot anyway. Like you kind of like go a different direction. It's like kind of like zigging and zagging. It's like, oh, where are you going? So I think that's funny. If you were saying there was a rumor back in the day that Culkin divorced his parents. Can't remember. Yeah, I believe that he did get emancipated. And my understanding was that his father was pretty abusive. And so he went through the legal um, whatever he needed to do in order, in order to, yeah, I think it's called emancipation, right? But wacky, like just um, and I'm always curious about like people and their like their who they are or who they become or who they seem to be, like based on the conditions, especially when their conditions or I don't know, like ways of being that I probably would have no concept about or no connection to. So listening to him talk about his life is like literally like hearing an alien talk about their experiences. And it kind of gives you like this weird I've noticed today that I use weird a lot, but that like a very specific point of view, based on like someone's life that's so, there's like 7 billion people on the planet, and everyone has like their different ways of living, but it's so unfathomable for me, like how like this guy's life must be, and then when he talks about it, it's like, yeah, I have no concept of what that even is. So interesting though, really interesting. um Curious about other folks and their movies. I'll share mine, and it is actually not a Christmas movie at all. But what I associate with Christmas, which is the Lord of the Rings movies, the
Mm-hmm.
Lord of the Rings trilogy. Next week actually is the 20th anniversary
I know,
of
it's
of the
crazy.
Lord of the Rings.
They did come out during Christmas, I
Yeah, that's
believe. So
why. Yep, yep. So that's why it's next week, right? So 20 years ago
wow, that's
was
crazy.
the first Fellowship, and Joe and I have watched Lord of the Rings, the whole trilogy plus the Hobbit movies over the holidays numerous times, and I always associate the holidays with that and how I yeah it's just a like we both enjoy it
Mm-hmm.
and we both really like the Lord of the Rings trilogy, but also the Hobbit and it's yeah, the fact that it's 20 years, yeah,
Yeah,
it's 20 years next year, next week. It's crazy to think about. Yeah, and so that's my holiday.
mm-hmm. That's a good one.
Yeah,
That's a really good one.
and I think that Amazon's working on a new Lord of the Rings or something like that
It's not
now.
good. That's not going to be any
Well, I mean, who knows? But I think that the scope and the budget and all of that is probably going to not be anywhere close to what Peter
good.
Jackson was able to
No, no,
accomplish.
no. I mean, Peter Jackson um, really took, um, you know, the book and stayed true to it, and the what was in the book for this Amazon thing. I mean, number one, um, uh, Tolkien's son passed away, and he was like the last gatekeeper. So now the estate, like, they don't care. They're just like, his children are just
Yeah, let's
like,
just
yeah,
make
let's
some
cash
money.
in, do whatever you want.
Mm.
So that's why I think you're gonna see, like, I've heard they're gonna have, like, nudity and all this weird stuff in it, and it's just like trying to make it into a Game of Thrones, and
Yeah,
that's why I think it's gonna be shit. So I
yeah,
hope I'm wrong, but they're going to be changing a whole bunch of things, and um, the during the first age and second age and all that. So
yeah. I just like feel like they did like it was such a thing that they were able to accomplish with Lord of the Rings
mm-hmm.
and the original trilogy, and like why mess with something that was okay or good, you
Yeah.
know? Why? I, I guess it's just a way of people knowing that it's a proven thing, that people are familiar with it, and Amazon having their own version of it, people are gonna watch it probably because they're curious about what they did with Lord of the Rings and stuff. So it's almost like you know it's a cheap way of like getting people to consume stuff, I
Mm-hmm.
guess, which is really unfortunate because um, in some ways I don't know, like maybe it does like water down the original, but maybe it doesn't, I don't know, but
Well, it takes place before, like, the second age, or first age, second age. So it takes place hundreds of years before.
what
But
you're
but
talking about the
Amazon
Amazon
thing, but
thing.
then they're talking about, like, sticking hobbits in there, which they didn't exist in the first or second age, right? So
Mm.
that's why I think it's going to be shit. So,
Joe Joe always has like his he has his opinions about how things are going to be, and I'm like, I should
I
probably
hope
watch
I'm wrong.
I
I
probably
know.
watch it, but I don't know that I would
I
want
hope I'm
to.
wrong, but who.
Hmm. Yeah, but like I said, that's my Christmas, my favorite Christmas movies, I guess. And I think I also like Elf. It's a really
Yeah,
cute
yeah,
movie
that's a good one
with
too.
Jon Favreau as the director and Will Ferrell as the elf, because he plays. I don't, Will
Like one
Ferrell,
of Santa's elves that.
yeah, but I was just gonna say, like, Will Ferrell is like somebody who you look at him and he's funny. You know, there are just some people like they're just their presence
Mhm.
just seems funny, and he is like, I don't know how many people would be able to play a full grown man as an elf, who is like naive and doesn't,
Mhm.
you know, and then shows up in New York City and all that kind of stuff. And it was just a really well casted, or well cast and well put together movie, I think. And I think it's sweet. And a lot of things are tinged with um, irony and that kind of stuff a lot. Whereas I think like there's something about Elf that's there's an innocence to it, which is I think really really nice.
Mhm.
So Kyle was saying, I just emailed you some of my Santa silliness and pulled together a quick shot of some of my Bloom County stuff too, including my side you stink, but I but I love you. Insert record.
Mhm.
That's amazing. I can't wait to take a look at it. It's probably like it's just again like just all the time with Kyle. It's amazing. And Kyle says the Rankin Bass Hobbit cartoon. Was that a
Oh
Rankin
yeah,
Bass?
was it? Oh, I guess it was. That's
The Hobbit
where they
cartoon.
have really big eyes. The hobbits and their. I think so. I've seen it, and Smog looks like almost like a cat, like
I don't remember. All I know is that the big eyes. I didn't realize it was a Rankin Bass
yeah. I
animated
didn't I
thing.
didn't know that. I remember seeing the film, the animated film, but they ran out of money for it, and that was all like rotoscoped.
Hmm. Yeah, Lord of the Rings has a very strange history, but I still think, yeah, the Peter Jackson, like what
Mm-hmm.
and what they were able to accomplish is probably still the, yeah,
Yeah, the
that's
pen.
the.
Yeah, I think that movie they shouldn't touch it at all.
Mhm.
They're probably going to try to remake it in another, sooner rather than later, but it won't be the same.
Yeah, and the way that they shot it too, I think, which is like back to back to back, and all the
Hmm.
actors, I think yeah.
Yeah, and they would do it like to save money. Oh, let's just do it like on a screen, like a screen in the back. So
Mm,
they wouldn't probably go to physical
locations and things like
locations, and
that. Yeah,
yeah.
it's true. I mean, I guess I have Peter Jackson on the brain because of the Get Back documentary that we just finished watching, which
Hmm.
was a marathon.
Hmm.
Goodness, like if those folks on now,
Hmm.
if you haven't watched it, it is a marathon, and we did. It's Cheryl. Hi, Cheryl. Sorry, I'm just gonna say hi. Thank you for jumping in to say hi. Hope
Yes.
you're doing well.
Hello.
Um, I started thinking about Ichiro because as soon as I see Cheryl, I start thinking about Ichiro. And because I added her on Twitter with that one video of
Mm.
Ichiro showing up at a high school
Hmm.
and just like dropping bombs on those kids, and they're like, "Oh, whoa!" It's amazing. So I started thinking about that, and sort of forgot like what I was talking about. But Cheryl, we're talking about movies right now, our favorite holiday movies, and I was saying that like mine isn't really like a holiday movie, but it is Lord of the Rings, the trilogy with the Peter Jackson, because it was released around Christmas.
Hmm.
And next week is actually the 20th anniversary of the Fellowship of the Ring being released. And Joe and I, over the holidays, over the years, we've watched that trilogy and also The Hobbit during the holidays. So I always associate it with that. Kyle was saying, I love the Lord of the Rings movies, but hated the ridiculous 20 endings.
In King
in,
Kong.
in, no, probably
Oh, Return of
Return
the
of the
King.
King. Probably, right? I don't know. I'm a sucker at the very end where Aragorn says, "You, what do they say? Like you kneel to no one, to the hobbits," and I'm like, ooh. um, but yeah, I'm a fangirl. I'm a Lord of the Rings, Peter Jackson movie fangirl. Yeah, I think I started talking about the Beatles thing, and so yeah,
The Beatles were actually trying to do a Lord of the Rings movie in the
oh,
'60s, but that's the rumor, but it never came to be.
I could see them, especially George Harrison. He seems to be into that kind of thing. It was into that kind of thing. Cheryl's saying when we visited Stan's folks, we'd watch White Christmas. I forgot about White Christmas. Yeah, we talked about It's a Wonderful Life and how just yeah, like how those older movies just like really unfold as opposed to like like everything being quick and being it's like adventure and all this kind of stuff all the time. That it's just nice to have like these movies that tell a story, and it's certainly like with it's a Wonderful Life. It is it is so cool, and I love White Christmas. I love White Christmas. I completely forgot at the very end where I guess the owner of the inn and they put on this show and they just like unveil like this crazy set that they have, and it's amazing. I love White Christmas. I've seen White Christmas a million times. Yeah, Rosemary Clooney, who is George Clooney's aunt. um, yeah, really. So, oh my gosh,
Oh,
it's
here we
been
go.
it's been so long since I've watched that. So Kyle says Scrooge. See, we,
Yeah,
we actually
that's a
Joe
good
and
one.
I haven't seen it.
I've seen it. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
with
good.
Bill Murray.
You know, on the flip side of that, Bill Murray did a Christmas special a few years ago
I think it's on
on
Netflix.
Netflix, a very Murray Christmas or something. That wasn't very good, which was I remember watching it with you, and
We were both like,
yeah, I mean, and I'm a big Bill Murray fan, so
mm-hmm.
just do Stripes, Stripes too, do that.
Cheryl's saying for White Christmas and It's a Wonderful Life, tears in the end. So true, so true, and like guaranteed. You know what's gonna happen, and even then, um, for me, like White Christmas, like guaranteed, guaranteed. I love that movie. Yeah, now I want to watch White Christmas. I haven't thought about that in a while. But you know what's interesting too? We got rid of cable last year, so and like you don't watch TV like maybe we used to, right? Like back in the day, you would just have the TV on, or you would look at the TV guide, or whatever, and you see that it's like, oh, there's um,
This is on.
yeah, this is on. Like, let's just watch this. But because we don't have cable anymore, and I don't think people watch TV like that anymore, it's been a while since there are certain movies that I would watch every year that I don't watch anymore, and I think White Christmas is definitely one of them. So I feel like, Cheryl, thank you for reminding me about White Christmas, because I want to go back and make sure that I do watch it this year. I just love it so much. And when Joe moved, he knocked over. Oh, can't get that straight. Ooh. And all of our Snoopies are falling over. um, yeah, and so you talked about um,
Best
yeah.
Christmas special, best Christmas movie, um, and then
Kyle
I
was saying,
picked
spoiler alert, Rosebud was a sled.
yes, yes. Um, and I picked worst Christmas special.
Okay, so how about your least favorite movie?
Uh, I I'm gonna go on like a deep cut and say Santa Claus Conquers the Martians is the worst Christmas movie. It's terrible.
I think you're gonna have to give us a bit more context on that one. At
It's a
least me, I have
movie
no idea.
from the late 50s, and they used to play it on City TV back in
Which
the
is a
day.
Canadian
Canadian,
local channel.
yeah, but it's a B movie or a C movie. Uh, it's yeah, pretty bad.
Hmm. Is it a Canadian movie?
No, no.
Oh, and one more time, it was called.
Santa Claus Conquers the Martians. It's like 1959 or 58 or something
And what
like
makes it so bad?
It's just it's like Plan 9 from outer space. It's just so weird and
Is it is
low
it
budgets and
is
just
it one?
awful. The Martians, the makeup's terrible, and they look like elves. I guess it's just really weird.
Is it like an Ed Wood movie or something?
Kind of, yeah. But
Mm-hmm.
it's
But it's
just
not. But it's not by Ed Wood.
no, it's just unwatchable.
Mm. Curious to hear other folks in your least favorite. James is saying, "Love the original Grinch, who stole
Christmas,
Christmas, but can't get into the one with Jim Carrey."
yeah,
Well, again, I haven't.
yeah. I
Um,
remember seeing it. Yeah, it's
what's
tough.
the original?
It's animated with I told you
Oh, okay.
Boris Karloff
Oh,
did
okay.
the narration.
Oh, okay. So that was a TV special or was it a movie?
No, it was a TV special,
Oh,
I think.
okay.
But the movie is just terrible. Yeah, with Jim Carrey.
The Jim
Just
Carrey.
yeah, it's weird. The Dr. Seuss live action movies like Cat in the Hat, I think was just awful
Mm.
with Mike Myers. I think that was it. Wasn't the rest were animated? I know they did two
Mm.
live action ones.
I think that I have no idea, to be
Mm.
honest. I don't um, I don't remember watching either of those. I don't like Jim Carrey. Um,
Terrible.
it's
No, it's I get it.
it's terrible that I don't like
No,
him,
no, no.
or
It's I like some of the movies he did, but not everything.
hmm in retrospect, I don't like anything that he's done. And he's an interesting, again, like an interesting guy and everything. There's that documentary on Netflix about him playing Andy Kaufman in that movie.
Yeah.
That's sort of fascinating, but and that, but everything else that he seems to do is so over the top and too much. I always feel like you know like bring it down or something. It's sort of like very focused on him and it's very specific, and I didn't don't really didn't watch any of the what are those movies where he's annoying.
Ace Ventura.
No, when he's with that other
Oh,
guy,
Dumb and Dumber.
Dumb and Dumber.
Well, he only did two of them. The first
Yeah,
one's
and
the best.
yeah, well, and the second one was recent too,
Yeah.
I think, right? Yeah, but Jim Carrey was definitely like some, and we've talked about this, you and I, about how some comedy is very much of a time, and sometimes comedy isn't timeless; it times
Mm-hmm.
out, and I feel like Jim Carrey stuff
Mm-hmm.
um, it feels really outdated.
No, I agree with that for sure. I still like the Cable Guy.
Oh, yeah, a lot of people like that. A lot of people like that. But again, um, I'm not that. I'm still like terrible at this kind of thing because I haven't seen it. I
Mm.
haven't seen the Cable Guy, so I don't have one way what are the way to go with that. But and as far as I'm concerned, like in terms of like my least favorite, I have no idea. I mean, there's a ton of like terrible
Christmas
holiday
movies.
movies, whether it's on like Netflix or
Yeah.
like Hallmark
Yeah.
or
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. Those Hallmark
Yeah, like those romantic comedy ones or whatever. I mean,
Remember the one we saw, and it was like um, Brendan Routh was a fireman or something. Remember?
yep,
And that was one of those
yep,
Christmas. And I don't know who the
with the
leading lady
woman.
was,
Yeah,
but yeah, that was pretty
they
awful.
crank out
They cranked them out.
Hallmark holiday things. I think it's like a joke at this point that they have.
They
It,
make them cheesy and
but then so many of them.
yeah.
There's so many of them. So if maybe if I could say that like my least favorite thing is the is the fact that they keep on churning out these Hallmark holiday movies, I guess, because it's unfortunate, because it's so nondescript. But I
Mm-hmm.
guess for some people it's just a feel good thing that you could like throw on and
Mm-hmm.
watch, and um, people like it, I guess. I mean, does anyone watch any of those Hallmark ones and like it, or can you suggest one that maybe has been good? I mean, the one like Joe was saying, the one that we watched with
Yeah,
Brandon
we
Red,
watched the whole thing
yeah,
too. It
with
was,
Superman. Um, he was a Superman. Um,
it's
it,
really too bad because I actually thought he was a good Superman,
mm,
but that film he was in was a mess.
yeah.
You
Mm.
and it's too bad that he never got a crack at another film. Um,
Again, there's also we watched the podcast of him talking about it and how it was very for him. I
it
think,
messed him up. Yeah.
yeah, like it was really tricky for his ego because he thought that that was going to be it he for him, and it didn't end up being that way, and that
Mm-hmm.
was apparently really 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 a tough thing for him. So that was also an
Mm-hmm.
interesting interview. But Sure was saying the plot is always the same, but they're comforting to some.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely, I think, the predictability of it, because what's gonna happen. Like all the beats are there, um, but you know how it's gonna end, and I can certainly see how just having something like that on, um, even like maybe with if you're a family and there's some conflict or something, or there's some tension, just having something like that on, I could definitely see how just that can just bring people together, or just have them just watching and not have any tension or something like that. I could definitely see that happening. So Kyle is saying Christmas at Ground Zero by Weird Al is a fun holiday ditty.
Mm.
I don't know that I'm familiar with that
No, haven't
one.
seen that.
No, but it's I think it's a Weird Al song, Christmas at Ground
Mm.
Zero. Um, I would, and I would imagine it's a parody. I wonder if what the parody is of that would be, because it's crazy how Weird Al's still around and he still looks almost exactly the same.
Mm-hmm. It's true
I
too.
think that's so hilarious. Joe took down the LP, but this is my favorite music, Christmas holiday
Yeah,
music.
we play this every year like when we're opening gifts and stuff. So. This
It's
is a classic too.
it's great. It's really great. Definitely, that's my favorite. And what would your favorite be?
For music,
Yeah,
um, I would probably say that it's hard to imagine um, anything else. Um, I actually I have memories of my father used to listen to Burl Ives a lot.
Burl Ives.
Yeah, so he used to have an old beat up truck with a cassette player in it. He used to play Burl Ives, so it was a lot of Christmas songs. So he was singing like, "Here comes Santa Claus," and
Who's Burl
He's
Ives?
an old sort of singer, and he was actually the snowman in one of those Rudolph the Red-Nosed.
Oh,
That was him. Like he was the remember the snowman with the mustache. There's the one song I know of his that I always remember because my dad used to play this song all the time, and it was like, I think it's called Mister In Between, and it was like they call me Mister In Between, and then there'd be like screechy voices in the background, Mister In Between, you know. And
Is that a holiday song?
I don't know. That's one of his songs,
Oh,
but
okay.
he did a whole bunch of like holiday songs. That's
What kind of a genre would you say?
I would probably say it's like 40s or 50s, like pop, I guess. The kind of like, I don't want to say Pat Boone, but like around that
Hmm.
time period.
Hmm.
Yeah, there you go. Greatest Christmas singer ever.
The greatest. See, yeah, never heard. This is the first time I'm hearing about this. I have no idea
Yeah, I
who Bird Eyes is.
yeah. See, I yeah, he did a lot of Christmas albums. I would also say, musically, I do like the duet between David Bowie and
Oh, Bing
Bing
Crosby.
Crosby. Like their voices are so different, but they
Mm-hmm.
um,
Yeah.
go together well. Little
Um.
drummer boy.
Yeah. Yeah. It is. James said I had an album full of Christmas parodies called Doctor Demento Christmas with that
Mm-hmm.
song.
Yeah,
That
I've
would be
heard of
the
Doctor Demento.
the Weird Al song, I think, right?
Mm-hmm.
James is what you're talking about. Dr. Demento is an artist too, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
he's I don't know too much about him. I've heard his name. Do you know anything about
No,
him?
no,
No.
not really. I've heard the name, and I may have had a record or two.
Huh. Yeah. So you were saying that that's the thing that you remember.
At Burl Ives,
Bro
yeah.
Lives.
My dad used to drive around and listen to Burl Ives and band music, which is weird.
Your dad used to drive around and listen to
Yeah,
band
like
music.
marching music, like a
Oh.
band would march to,
Oh,
like dun
okay.
dun 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 dun
Marching
dun,
band.
marching band music.
Huh. Somehow maybe it just
Hmm.
yeah, like it
And
resonated
then
with
if
him.
you popped a tape in of something, he's like, "What the hell is this shit?" He did. You put in the Beatles. What the fuck is this shit? You
Oh.
know. And actually, I do remember I bought as a kid. I bought the White Album on tape when we went on a trip to Montreal, and I was playing it in the truck as we drove there, and it had a cassette player. And Opala D Opala Da came on, and he was like, "Oh, they didn't write this. This is a party song. This is an old party song. It's a party song."
It's like an oompa.
And I was like, "No, they wrote this.
Mm.
Like it's got their credits on it." So I think he heard that at parties
Or it sounds
in
like
the
an
'60s,
or it
maybe.
sounds like an oompa bus. You know what I mean? Like
Maybe, but I think he heard this at parties in the '60s, and he didn't realize it was a Beatles song
okay.
because he was listening to Burl Ives, and he liked Dean Martin a lot too.
Mm.
Dean Martin, he had a
Mm-hmm.
bunch of his records and stuff.
Mm.
Yeah, my mom was the only one really who listened to rock and roll, I guess, like with Elvis.
Mm.
So
Mm-hmm. Would you say a lot of your like you got a lot of your musical influences from
myself.
well your
No, my
sister?
sister. Yeah, my
Yeah.
sister. You know, listened to the Rolling Stones, and my sister grew up, I think, in a, you know, she was born in 1960, so as a little kid, and that you would have remembered the Beatles,
Mm.
and by the '70s, you would have seen the whole glam rock thing
Mm.
and punk rock. She would have been like in her late teens, and so I mean, and even during the '80s, like all that new wave stuff, I mean, she actually grew up in a really musical decade,
Mm-hmm.
and then even got into all the metal and hair metal and grunge stuff.
Mm.
So I mean that's a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
To remember all that because she
Or
used to
to
have,
live through it.
yeah, because
Yeah.
she had all those albums like John Lennon Imagine, and then she would have, the Sex Pistols, or Metallica, or Rolling Stones, or David Bowie. Like she had all these records and
Mm-hmm.
singles and stuff like that. So.
Mm-hmm. Those are cool influences for
Mm-hmm.
for you to have had. Yeah, for sure. And what would be your least favorite or yeah, like non-favorite holiday music?
Non-favorite holiday music. Um, I got to think about that.
Mine's the Mariah Carey song.
Yeah, I'm probably there with you.
I like if I hear that song one more
Mm-hmm.
time. I mean, I understand Mariah Carey, and like the influence that she has as an artist and everything like that, and how like her Christmas albums probably have like sold probably as much as like the Eagles' greatest hits or
Mm-hmm.
something like that. But I gotta say that song, "All I Want for Christmas Is You," I can't. It's it,
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know.
Yeah. There's actually a radio station in Toronto, a rock station called Q107, and they have a contest where they actually play that song. And if they play the whole thing, you have to call in. And you can win $1,007 from them because they never play that. You
Yeah,
know,
and that's the thing. Like we've and I feel like I've been forced to listen to it that song this year because when we are
we're in the
driving around
car.
and we have the radio on, and I'm like, what is Mariah Carey doing on cue? Like
Yeah,
what is happening here? And I don't know. Like they
it's
must have.
jarring. It's very jarring because they'll go from I don't know, like Pearl Jam or Deep Purple, and then boom,
Mariah
Mariah
Carey.
Carey singing
Even the
a Christmas
DJs,
song.
even the DJs are making fun of the fact that they don't want to listen to the stuff.
Right.
So it's so strange. They must have had like some kind of like a
Mm-hmm.
sponsorship deal or something like that with the record
Mm-hmm.
company or something.
Yeah.
But it's just
Yeah.
oh can't
Actually,
have.
a song I really used to bug me, but it's probably grown on me, so I'm okay with it. Is that Paul McCartney song "Simply Having"?
Oh.
That used to drive me nuts. I used to hear that everywhere
It
in
used to be
malls and
everywhere.
stuff.
Yep.
But it's like, yeah, it's all right.
Well, but also we don't go to malls and stuff as often anymore. So maybe
It's
you're
true.
not hearing it as much.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Kyle is saying it's like Mariah Carey and piped in Muzak. Oh, Muzak's terrible. And I think in malls now and stuff like that they play um, just like straight up like music. But when they use, I don't know. I haven't been to a mall in a long time, so I can't really say. But um, music's the worst. Or what they play in like what they say elevator music. It's just the
Yeah.
worst. So terrible.
When I went to the post office a few weeks ago, um, they like it's at Shoppers Drug Mart, and they were playing music, um, and
Shoppers Drug Mart is a drugstore here in
yeah,
Canada.
and
It's
the
a big
clerk
chain.
was saying this is like the fourth time I've heard this song, and I think it was like Eddie Money, I Want to Go Back, which is a good song, but if you hear it four times during a shift,
Uh huh.
like over the
Yeah,
like on a
yeah,
loop, you probably get tired of it. So.
yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing about holiday music too. A lot of the times in stores and things like that is that they have just a certain number of things that they play, and they just
Mm-hmm.
play it over and over and over again. And again, um, they start doing that so early now. I guess again, I haven't been to a lot of
Yeah.
stores recently, so I don't have an opportunity to hear the same things over and over again. But I remember, when I used to go to stores or like walk through malls or whatever, you just hear the same music for like 3 months or
Yeah.
whatever, and it can start grating on you. Kyle says Father Christmas by the
Mm-hmm.
Kinks.
Good bands.
I love the Kinks. I'm not sure that I know about the song though. They're an awesome band. Would that be your favorite, Kyle? And I'm curious to know what might be something that you already did tell us actually. Mariah Carey, I've been Christmas music. It's true. Yeah. Hmm. So I from our stuff today, I feel like I want to watch White Christmas. So I'm so glad that like Cheryl popped in,
Yeah,
and
it's probably on Amazon Prime or something.
it's probably somewhere.
Somewhere.
It's definitely somewhere. I haven't watched that in a long time, and I love White
Mm.
Christmas. Is there something that you want to watch or kind of make sure to get in during the Christmas holidays this year?
Mm,
How about everybody else out there? Like, do you want to make sure that you watch something or listen to something this year before the holidays are over?
I think I gotta see Charlie Brown Christmas,
Mm.
and if I have time, um, I'd like to see Gremlins because that's kind of a Christmas movie. It happens around
Oh, is that
Christmas.
right?
Yeah, and I haven't seen that since it was in the theaters. Like it's one of those movies I remember seeing as a kid, like maybe twice, and I haven't seen it since. And I just wonder um, what that movie's like or how it's aged.
Mm. Hmm.
And I used to have a crush on Phoebe Cates
Uh-huh.
a long time ago.
Yeah, she's cute. That kind of came out of left field though, like the Gremlins thing. I
Well,
gotta
I
say.
was just thinking about it. Like,
Yeah.
I haven't seen it since I was 12. So.
Oh, that's funny. So Kyle's saying, I hate music, but a song that I wrote that was produced by Quiz. What? But a song that I wrote that was produced by Quincy Jones, Babyface, and others that was tracked in an instrumental. My kids call it elevator porn music.
Mm,
Wha-
crazy.
Uh, I can't even process what that just meant. Like, you wrote a song that was produced by Quincy Jones, Babyface, and others. Like, there's a story there, Kyle. I need to hear it because that I again, that's like my third. Like I don't have brain left to for it to be blown. My goodness. Um, I used to get Holiday Inn and White Christmas mixed up. Me too, because of the Bing Crosby thing.
Mm.
Um, yeah, but I think also White Christmas is about an inn, but I'm pretty sure Holiday Inn had Bing Crosby in it too, if I'm not mistaken.
Didn't they get their name from White Christmas Holiday Inn, like the hotel chain? That's what I thought,
Oh,
because it's called Holiday Inn, right? And then they took that name. I could be wrong.
I
I
don't
thought I thought that's it
know.
was inspired from White Christmas.
I don't understand.
So Holiday Inn, the
Yes,
hotel
yes,
chain,
chain.
got their name from White Christmas. I
Oh,
think.
oh,
I
okay.
could be wrong. Kyle would probably know.
Um, Cheryl. I was actually saying that there was a movie called Holiday Inn. So do you think that
Oh yeah. Okay,
maybe
there we go.
that was more the
That's it.
inspiration? Um, James says I have to listen to the 12 Pains of Christmas. I don't know what that
Mm.
is. What is the 12 Pains of Christmas? And we're down to less than
Mm.
12 days
Mm-hmm.
too. So
Or
um,
Bob and Doug McKenzie did that 12, 12 Days of Christmas song where it's like, I got a beer on the second day of Christmas. I got a beer. They always play that in Canada. So.
mhm. Bob, that was from SCTV,
Yeah,
which was a
comedy
yeah.
show.
People would
It's
know
our
SCTV.
Canadian Saturday Night Live, I guess.
Mm, it was a sketch comedy. Saturday Night Live is sketch comedy too, but
Right.
it's a little bit different than SCTV, I feel like. Cheryl says 12 days Hawaiian style is fun. What is that? I think anything Hawaiian would be fun, and I get envious. I'm all like yeah, like anything that has to do with Hawaiian. But curious about that. I'm curious to know, Cheryl, if you make butter mochi. Um, and because I've always been curious about butter mochi, and just curious. You can let me know if that's something that you make. And yeah, I've always wanted to try it. I don't think there's anywhere here apart from like making it myself or trying to get other people to make it for me that I can get butter mochi. So, but it sounds so good. Oh, here we go. Um, Cheryl says butter mochi is delicious. Yeah, I would. Do you make it, Cheryl? I would love to hear or to know about how to make it, because I think I'm very curious about it, and just would love to have some of that. And I think around like New Year's would be a really good time to have it. Hello, Carl. Carl.
Carl.
Uh, I remember you guys from Watch with Zach.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's us.
That's us.
Thanks for dropping in. Happy holidays. I hope you're doing well. We're talking about just some holiday stuff that's our favorites or least favorites, about movies and music and all that kind of stuff. But we're also talking about holiday foods now. So I think we're getting into that. Cheryl was saying that sometimes the Costco in Hawaii has a vendor who comes in many flavors or mixes, but I don't make it. Oh, gosh. Costco in different places too.
Crazy.
Yeah, they have different stuff. Our Costco here in Canada isn't that exciting. And we have a cat. We have a cat that's joined us. Here she is. That's Kudo.
Hello.
She had dental surgery
She
this week, so she's a little out of it, but she's also gotten a lot of attention. But she's doing pretty good. Look at her.
you doing?
Carl, thank you for dropping by. How are you doing? And did you just drop in because you saw us that we're live, and you mentioned you remember seeing us with Zach?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, since we just also started talking a little bit about food, what's some holiday foods that people are looking forward to this year? And Carl, also, like, where are you, where are you located? So I know that the folks tonight here are all over the place. So Carl's like, I'm good. Hope you guys are okay. Sorry. I'm good. Hope you guys are doing good. And yeah, I subbed to you guys and kind of forgot. Well, we're here.
Yeah, we're here.
And thank you for subbing. I appreciate it, and hopefully you stay subbed. That would be great. That's the one thing about YouTube that's interesting. Trying to get to 1,000 is a good benchmark to get to on YouTube, and it's it's an interesting challenge to have. But we've been sharing our what's been going on and experiences and so forth. So Carl says he's from Pittsburgh, and of course I'll stay subbed.
Nice, thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it. And thank you for dropping by.
It's a beautiful ballpark in Pittsburgh too.
That's what I hear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to go there. We should go there sometime.
Yeah, well, that's. I mean, I'd love to.
Hopefully.
yeah, I'd love to be able to go to all the ballparks, but I do really hear
Mm-hmm.
that Pittsburgh has a good
Mm-hmm.
ballpark, and also how Pittsburgh fans, sports fans, are good sports fans.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't know, like sometimes I feel Jays fans are a little bit fair weather. It's like when we're winning, there's the Jays fans come out, but not necessarily when maybe they're not doing so well. Whereas I think that there are other cities where people come out regardless,
Mm-hmm.
and they're big fans. And if I'm not mistaken, Russell Martin was in Pittsburgh for a while, I think.
He was, yeah.
Yeah. So, but I don't know what's been happening in Pittsburgh this past year. But yeah, would love to be able to go to the stadium. And if
Oh,
James is on, he would have been.
yeah, James. Yeah, James has been there. So
hmm yeah, so that's it's a great ballpark. Oh, it's a great ballpark. I could go sometimes. Yeah, I
yeah,
mean, it's
it's one of the best. I think. Like, it's just beautiful. You know what? I haven't been there. I'm only know what it looks like from TV and playing the home run derby and MLB the show,
oh,
and it's a fun ballpark to
mm,
hit home runs, and you see the bridge in the background.
mm-hmm,
It's one of my favorites.
mm-hmm. I was wondering about like how you would have had like maybe more
Mm-hmm.
of a knowledge about Pittsburgh, but yeah, like that makes sense with that. Carl says the Pirates are horrible, just to say,
Mm-hmm.
but we have some good prospects. Their
Yeah,
future is pretty bright.
yeah. I think you're on a rebuild because, um, you know, a lot of like Andrew McCutcheon and a lot of those guys were traded off a few years ago, so it's on a rebuild.
Mm. Yeah, and for us, because we're Jays fans and generally American League oriented, sometimes the National League teams, and especially when
Interleague play.
yeah, but no, but they don't get covered. There are certain teams that don't get covered, right? Like, we watch MLB network and things like that, but they tend to skew toward like really large market
Yeah.
teams and things like that. So, unfortunately, you don't hear too much about what's happening in areas like Pittsburgh and stuff like that, even though they have like a good fan base and loyal and
Mm-hmm.
enthusiastic fans. But unfortunately, yeah, like apart from Andrew McCutcheon, um, and
Well,
so little things that
Travis
I know
Snyder
here.
went there for a while.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, remember?
Right. He was. We called him, or he called himself
Lunchbox.
Lunchbox.
He was on the Jays for a while.
Yeah, he was a prospect for the Jays that he came up, and he was supposed to be a franchise guy. Didn't end up being a franchise guy, but I really liked him. It's too bad that he didn't end up going far with the Jays. Kyle was telling us about a song that he wrote that Quincy Jones produced. Just sent you a pic of the CD liner sleeve with my writing credit done at LaFace Studios here in town with Joe Harrison, an incredible guitarist, keyboardist, multi
Mm, crazy.
that and you're saying that your kids think it sounds like music, but I don't know. Quincy Jones produced music. I mean, it's probably the best kind of
Mm,
music you can get. So that's like, or even like Babyface produced. Like, oh, whew. Cheryl is saying you'd have a blast watching the Jays in Seattle.
yeah,
So many Blue Jays fans come over the
for
border. I
sure.
know when we watch it on TV, it's pretty remarkable
Mm,
to see all the Jays
mm,
fans
yeah.
that are in the
Yeah,
stands.
but that may change because Seattle made some like big moves. Because you guys made the postseason, so they made some moves. Um, So yeah,
Well,
I
they
think
got Robbie Ray.
they got Robbie Ray,
Took
and
Robbie Ray.
so they're going to be competitive. So I think if there is a series with the Jays, um, I think they're going to raise the ticket prices.
I'm sure they
um,
do anyway,
but
I'd
I
imagine.
think it's going to be harder for Jays fans to get tickets for the Mariners, because I think it's going to be the Mariners are going to be a very competitive and exciting young team this year. So
But I think people out west, like when they want to see the Jays, they
yeah,
really
from
like, yeah,
BC, yeah,
yeah. They just, well, not just BC, like just out west.
right.
Um, if they can get an opportunity to watch Major League
Mm-hmm.
Baseball with a Canadian
Mm-hmm.
team, they'll make the trip to Seattle, which is what they've been doing in such an awesome way. I think that like Seattle has a good fan base. But it is pretty cool to see when the Jays play there, and there's just as many Jays fans, if not sometimes more, in the stands during those that particular, like when the Jays are in Seattle. But it's I would love to have an opportunity to go to Seattle. Period. Number one, but number two, to be able to see them play Seattle would be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Seattle's a beautiful place, I think. Um, yeah. Carl is saying, I think the Pirates play the Jays this upcoming year, so that'll be cool.
Yeah.
So we might see you guys up here, and you might see us down there. um, it's yeah, those interleague games are sometimes because I was hoping that they would play the Dodgers, the Jays play the Dodgers this year, but
Mm.
yeah, they don't. But it'd be, I don't know that I've ever seen the Pirates.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, so that might be a cool game to go and watch too. Um, so Kyle's talking about his music, and Joe is now in the band New 80 and members of Collective Soul, the Trans Siberian Orchestra, and others.
Mm.
Jeez, that's like like the I imagine that if you had like a Rolodex still, if that kind of thing like exists, like I could see you having like this epic Rolodex from, like, what people look like, had they had on their desks in the 80s. That's what I like picture, like with Kyle, like he has like this like
Yeah.
Rolodex full of like
Q Quincy Jones.
yeah. Is he under Q? He would be under Q,
Yeah.
not J,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
No,
J.
no, I would totally put Quincy Jones under Q, wouldn't you? um, and Cheryl says, "You say that with a smile, Robbie Ray." Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate that we lost Robbie
Mm-hmm.
Ray, but
Not by much,
not by
I
much,
think,
not at all. But glad that you guys signed him,
and not the
and
Yankees or some team like that,
mm,
or Boston.
yeah, yeah. It's true. It's true because I mean, they're, first of all, they're in the same division, but it's also just I guess like from a money perspective too, not just going for the highest. Because I would imagine probably the Yankees would have paid that for him. Maybe he. I think he probably wouldn't have wanted to go to the Yankees, but
I don't
I
know.
could be wrong. Um, and Carl's saying, I like the Mariners as my second favorite team. And while the Pirates are horrible, the Mariners are really good. They got a former Pirate, Adam Frazier, and they got Ray.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that they're making a run for it right now, or this year. And with the lockout and stuff like that, of course, like there isn't anything happening. I gotta say, I am so sad about this lockout thing. I didn't think that it would affect me as much as it is, but one of the things that I really enjoy about the off season is watching Hot Stove on MLB Network, because I think it's one of the best TV shows on TV, honestly. Um, And with the lockout, all that, like, it used to start me up in the morning, and I would just, like, have a good
Mm-hmm.
laugh, and it would just be like the nice way to start the day, because they're just so silly and they do some dumb things, but then they also talk about baseball at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that they have this lockout, and there's basically no baseball. I'm watching stuff on YouTube and things like that, but I mean, there isn't anything apart from like Verlander ended up and the Astros. They cemented that deal, but we knew that was going to happen
Mm.
and stuff like that. But I'm just like, it's just so sad. And I guess the only other thing that people are talking about that I'm kind of curious about is the Japanese player that got posted, Seiya Suzuki, to see like where he goes. So I guess that's the only, and hopefully he'll be able to sign. That he won't be completely locked out during this whole thing that's going on. But I'm it's just it's made me really sad, the fact that there has been no baseball. And as Cheryl knows, I and as James knows, I'm not I'm not a sports fan. I'm like a baseball fan, and so even though we have hockey and basketball here, um, in Toronto, I don't follow those sports, so I'm yeah, like I'm feeling pretty sad about that right now. Um, Carl has told us about the Mariners being his second team. And James is saying I have to make it back to Pittsburgh. Since the game I went to there was rained out.
Oh
Oh,
no, it's terrible.
that's too bad. It's too bad. Carl's saying I'm gonna get going. It was nice stopping by and taking. I have school in the morning.
Right.
Good night.
Good night, girl.
Thank you for dropping by. Appreciate it. And happy holidays. Kyle's like, I have to stop. No, no, not blabbing. Not at all. You guys give me hope. What do you.
For the Mariners,
Oh. I
I
think
think.
so. I think they're gonna do well.
Yeah, I think so too.
Mm-hmm. And it's like a team that you want, for them to do
Mm-hmm.
well. There's some teams, it's like the Yankees and Boston, where I feel like you're okay. You guys, you guys could not do well for a little bit, and it's fine. But there are certain teams where I think you feel like, yeah, it'd be nice if they did it. They did well. Even the Orioles. Like if the Orioles ended up doing well, like yeah, give this little team a little something. Um, I feel more about that for the Mariners than like some like a team like Tampa Bay, for instance. I'm not a big Tampa Bay fan.
No.
I think it'd be really cool if they did that whole split team thing where they're thinking, or they mentioned that
Montreal.
they do half like Montreal, half Tampa Bay or something like that. Then that would be interesting. At least it doesn't make any sense, but it'd be interesting. Um, but Tampa Bay, in the way that they conduct their baseball business, isn't, I think, like it's not fan friendly. And at the end of the day, I mean, it's a business, but it's also an entertainment
Mm-hmm.
business. And I feel like Tampa Bay doesn't really. Well, they signed. Did they sign?
Nelson
No,
Cruz.
no, they signed not a Rosarena. Um, Wander Franco. Either one of those guys. They signed actually to a large contract, which was a weird thing for Tampa Bay to do. So that was cool that they did that recently, or right before the lockout stuff happened. So that was an interesting move on the Tampa Bay part. But anyway, again, sorry. Like I blab about, Kyle, I blab about baseball too much. But yeah, like I'm looking. I'm hoping that the lockout ends soon, because again, like it's a very, it's sad. I'm sad about it.
Well, we want to see like where some players are going to go, and what kind of moves the Jays are going to make, if there's any more in the pipeline, and just kind of see. So to have everything, Rob Manfred is a horrible commissioner. Like, it's like one of the worst commissioners of all time. Like when your player, like the players in the league hate you so much, like that's not a good thing.
Yeah, he has a lot of
And
detractors
he
for sure.
fumbled the whole Astros thing, and called the World Series trophy a piece of metal.
Mm-hmm.
It's just,
Yeah.
yeah, the guy's just an awful baseball commissioner,
Mm-hmm.
and I think he looks like Goofy too. Actually, he's
That's sad. Anybody that looks like Goofy is like sort of a sad thing. Don't you think?
yeah.
Goofy is sad. um, Cheryl. Oh, Cheryl says the spring training is right around the corner. Wonder if there'll be one. It's so true. I
Yeah.
mean, at this point, like, who knows what's gonna happen?
Mm-hmm.
And it's it's awful. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's
Well, baseball, they should get their act together, because I don't think baseball. They have a lot of catching up to do with the other sports in terms of attracting younger people and stuff like that,
fan base.
and fan base. And, it probably hasn't recovered 100% from the strike in '94, and that was a long time ago.
Yeah,
So they better not have another lockout or something
but they
like
are
that.
have a lockout right now
Well,
though.
I know, but if it gets into the season,
Mm.
that's going to be. I think that's just not going to be
That
good for baseball at all.
no for sure, and I think that
They're going to lose a lot of
I
fans.
think people realize that, but especially what the Players Association is trying to do, is that they're trying to, because from a fan's perspective, a lot of people might think that it's like billionaires and millionaires that are having a difference of opinion or whatever it is, but the Players Association is really trying to do is to make it more equitable for the players who aren't the superstars, who aren't the top 5% or the top 10% of of the league and how much they make. So it is, I think, an important thing, because just because you hear about all these superstars and these guys that get the large contracts and things like that, they sound like ridiculous contracts, and they are. But there are also these guys in the middle who have their families and they're toiling, and they like like they have like the players who they don't bring up you know for service time and stuff like that. Like people like Chris Bryant and these young kids that they'll keep in the minors for a longer period of time, so that they have control over these players for a longer period of time, and stuff like that. Um, they're trying to make that more equitable for people and for these players who aren't these superstars. And I think that that is an important thing to do. Um, but but at the same time, baseball is a business, and for it not to have spring training
Mm-hmm.
and for the players not to be playing
Yeah,
is a problem
yeah,
for
especially
sure.
coming out of a pandemic too, where we finally got fans back in the stadium, and I don't know. I just think.
Well, but also, we haven't really. Um, I don't know how you folks in the states are kind of feeling about the Omicron, but here in Ontario, like things have really just like ramped up from, um, oh, we might have one case a week ago to like thousands and thousands of
Mm,
cases this week, and they're changing like policies and things like that on almost like a daily basis at this point. So um, they limited stadium capacity. to 50%. So the hockey arenas and the basketball, they're only allowed to have 50% capacity as of, I think, tomorrow or Saturday. And then what does that mean for the baseball even? What's next, couple of months going to look like in terms of what this new variant is how it's going to have an impact and all that kind of stuff. So it's not just, I think, what's happening. Um, I get the sense that the folks in the states aren't maybe looking at this, at least right now, in the same way as maybe we are up in Canada with this Omicron thing right now, because it's gotten like real serious real fast up here. Just literally like within days, it just went from like, oh, we have this new variant to you may want to rethink like your holiday plans with your family. And like I mentioned, like yeah, the capacity in arenas and stadiums, they've cut down to 50% and all that kind of stuff, and it just happened like very quickly, like within a few days. So who knows, hopefully it'll be something that we can keep under wraps. And for me personally, my biggest concern is like from a health perspective. There have been some things that I've been reading about how Omicron is like just something that everyone's going to just end up getting, and as long as people are properly vaccinated from it, then it should be pretty mild. But it worries me in terms of whether it'll impact treatment, or my ability to be able to get treatment. Or what it might do for me health wise. So there's that concern, because up until like literally like a week and a half ago, I was just like, oh, like we're doing pretty okay. And we're kind of like riding along and just trying to get through this thing. But at this point now, it's becoming this thing where when I go back to treatment in a month, is that going to have some kind of an impact, like based on what they're saying? The Ontario government here is saying that within 2 weeks, they're thinking that the hospitals are going to be at capacity in the ICU, which is what they're seeing in Europe right now. So it's
crazy.
yeah, and because originally too, Joe would have. I've gotten my booster shot. I had that a month ago or a couple months ago, maybe, because of being immunocompromised. But Joe was originally vaccinated around the same time that I was, because he is living with me and he's a primary caregiver for me. But for some reason, even though he's more than 6 months out at this point, there isn't it wasn't an exemption for him to be able to get a booster. And they had announced that it would be in January. So last week they said January would be when you would be able to get a booster.
Right.
But then as of yesterday, they said that it's going to be next week.
Yeah.
So all the stuff is like really like moving quickly.
Yeah. My
On
mom was saying she was trying to get a booster, but they don't have any um, where she lives.
yeah,
They're
so your
out of
mom's in a
it.
different
So
province. Yeah. And yeah, and that's the other thing too, that our supplies are different from what it is in the States and things like that. So yeah, it's an interesting. There's a lot of different things that are going on, and baseball has been a good distraction to all of that. But it's my distractions have been kind of like whittled down. But it certainly does help for like I was saying, and I kind of share this on Twitter, but also on these live streams too. Just like being able to interact with people, and just learning about all of you, and just being able to go back and forth, and just your all of your care for us, and kindness and generosity for us has really like helped me. It really helps me with my energy, and just feeling good when there are times when the last couple of days, for instance, I've been pretty tired, and I can when I get to a certain level of tired, it can feel like that's it. Like that's how I'm always gonna feel. Always gonna feel this level of tiredness, and along with that comes like sort of like this feeling of not depression exactly, but sadness definitely around, oh, like maybe this is it. Like this is going to be the most energetic I'm ever going to feel again. But then we do these live streams, and I get to interact and get to know people. And for us to be talking about the different
Mm-hmm.
things that we like to talk about with you, and it just helps me so much. So thank you so much, because it means so much to me. um, and yeah, I don't even know how to be able to express it properly. I wish there was a way that I could, but it means so much. So thank you everyone so much, and appreciate you logging in, and sharing and caring for us, and yeah. Yeah, even though
Yes.
I blab on about a lot of different things, the fact that you hang in, and oh, the kitty. The show says we're lucky too to be able to see your smiling face.
Uh,
Thank you, Cheryl, so much. And Kyle says happy to be here for you guys, and yeah, and like again, like Kyle, like blowing my mind all the time. It's like I'm I can't even imagine you or somebody who, like, if there was like a documentary, and I bet you're maybe gonna tell me that there's like a documentary that's being made about you. I wouldn't be surprised, but I also feel like there should be. um, there's a couple of those documentaries. The guy who, as a manager for Alice Cooper,
mm-hmm.
um,
Chef Gordon.
Chef Gordon, like that was such a fascinating one. And there's another one, I forget who, but I feel like if there was like a documentary about Kyle, like it would just be just that level of fascinating, and it'd be so like amazing and complicated, and so many experiences and things. But it's just been a blessing, and the fact that yeah, like during the holidays too. You can't see it, but kudos, kudos, snuggling up against Joe. It's being really cute. But yeah, like it's a remarkable thing for me, because I didn't know, um, last year, don't know this year what the future is gonna hold for me. And today was interesting because even though I was tired, one of the things that I um, committed to doing was to be able to give back in different ways as I can. And one way that I do that is that I participate in studies with the hospital, and the the cancer hospital that I'm being treated at. And today there was a couple of interviews about some studies, and one is going to be where they, I guess, it's called the Will to Live study. And they're trying to measure, or to study and to research what gives people the will to live in the face of something, like the diagnosis that I have. And there's like a questionnaire, and like interviews and things like that happens. I guess they're gonna do it. They don't say this, but it's interesting. They say it's like, oh, 6 months, every 6 months until the study is over. But there's also like until like you're no longer able to answer potentially. Um, but like having those kinds of conversations is also um, like I'm trying to give back, and I feel like it's an important thing to do. But those are tough conversations to have. And the interview today was really um, there was I guess they were also trying to make sure that I'm of sound mind. So they're asking questions like, can you count backwards from 20? Um, can you tell us um, the months of the year, counting back from December? Can you try to remember this address that we just gave you in another 10 minutes? And it was it was very weird because I guess there are some people who are not able to answer those kinds of questions, and if they're not able to, then they're not able to participate in the study, which makes sense. I mean, you want to be somebody that can answer the questions properly, but sometimes it's a reminder um, of potential things that could be part of my future, and that could be a tough reminder of things sometimes, because in this moment, and again, like, thank you for those of you who've been supporting me and being here and being with us, that it feels like like that I'm doing well, and I'm very, very fortunate that within a crappy situation that I'm doing the way how I am. But there are certain times when there are certain reminders, and it could be tough. So just being able to do this kind of thing and connect really just brings me back to, it's like, okay, this is part of what's real for me too. So yeah, so thank you so much, and I'm sorry for all of that. I hope that wasn't too much. Um, and I feel like yeah, like it's been the holidays have been. I mean, it's crazy that it's already next week. It's going to be Christmas and everything like that. But it's been nice to not feel like so isolated, and that makes a very, very big difference. So. Kyle is saying, I had some movie screenplay offers for some of my life stories from some decent sized studios, and have had Brian O'Harahan from the Clerks movies asking to produce my wife and I story, but I took a pass.
Oh, wow.
Wow. So there you go. There was something something in the works. I mean, I would definitely watch it. And I bet you something like Netflix would like. I don't know how long ago that would have been that maybe you were in discussion for those things, Kyle. But I bet if that was like reintroduced to like Netflix or something, it would just get snapped up. I bet you. Um, Cheryl is saying thankful for Joe.
Oh, thank you. That's sweet.
I'm also so thankful for Joe too. Yeah. And it's also like in these types of situations is when you sort of like find out um, like what bonds you, or the real like character of a person. And I'm just very very fortunate that Joe is who he is, and who he is he's a good person, like genuinely like a really good person, and he's loyal, and he um, tries his best. And it doesn't mean that sometimes we don't have our differences, and we're certainly different people, but I think like we complement each other in a lot of ways. And and as much as we love each other, I think we also like each other a lot, because I think that just because you love somebody doesn't necessarily mean you always like them. But I think that with Joe and I, like we genuinely like each other, and I think that is really shown up, especially since all this stuff has been happening for me. So, what do you think about that?
Yes.
Yes. Good Kyle saying, I'm just a schlub with some fun stories is all. I don't know about that.
You got some pretty crazy stories.
No, some really great stuff. And again, like so warm and generous too. I mean, you can have stories, you can have experiences, but it doesn't, I don't think it means anything if you know, um if there isn't like meaningful stuff behind it and like, you know, um yeah, and I don't think they're just fun stories and fun things, Kyle. Like I think it really is a reflection of who you are. And I'm extremely really like glad that we've been able to get to know you as we've had. Like is extremely important. It's so true. You know, like we kind of like say a lot of stuff. Like by we like just in general, like people just talk about we love each other or we do this or you know you're a good person or whatever. But at the end of the day, it is like um, not just action, but just an authenticity, you know, because people could say a lot of stuff, and that's the one thing about you know Twitter that's very interesting to me. It sounded so Canadian there, and I was like a boot. um, like the people say a lot of stuff, and we're I think a culture of like saying a lot of stuff, but I think that and I say a lot of stuff. You know, like we do these live streams and we're just talking a lot about, you know, different things. But I think that there is something about authenticity. There's something about really caring, and I don't know, you know, exactly how you make that differentiation, or how people can tell. But I think that we all just have like some kind of it's almost like a tuning fork or something like that. You know, the difference between someone who's just like talk versus somebody um, who is genuine about who they are. And so I'm just again like extremely grateful that I've especially in this last year and a bit, that I've been able to connect with so many genuinely good people. And Kyle saying, I'm thankful for getting to know you guys this year. Have been basing my Thursday nights on these chats in particular, and so appreciate that. Thank you so much. Um, and Kyle saying, I've always said that if I didn't have pictures, videos, and witnesses in my life, I sure as hell wouldn't believe it. But that's so great to have those witnesses too. Um, it's remarkable. I do maybe hope that you there may be an opportunity for you to bring like your stories somehow to a larger audience.
YouTube.
Well, he has a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I
Do
think
it an animated story.
yeah, but that's hard. That's not
Two
something that
episodes.
that's not something that you could just whip whip up.
Well, he would have to find somebody who knows.
Well, he knows those people,
Yeah,
but it's
yeah,
still
for sure. What am I talking about? Never mind.
no. But getting it's. I mean, you know,
Yeah,
as someone who is an illustrator, that like just because you have
yeah,
an
yeah, that's
idea
right.
doesn't
Yeah.
necessarily mean that you know, or even the means to be able to do it doesn't mean that you could
Mm-hmm.
just like make them happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I could definitely see myself like coming across like Kyle's story on Netflix and going like I'd want to watch that. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So Kyle, I know that you're going to see your mom on Saturday, and I hope that you have a great trip. And I'm assuming it's you and your wife that's making that trip, and hope that your mom's doing well, and that you have family that's dropping by next week. Is there going to be some kind of like a holiday gathering for you, or is it just going to be almost like a drop-in thing based on different family members? Is that what's happening for you? And Cheryl, same thing. Like, what does the holidays look like for you next week. Cheryl is saying truth is stranger than fiction because fiction has to make sense. It's so true. There are some things that I come across or watch sometimes, and I'm like, how could you even write this? Going back to baseball again, I think about that with when it comes to like Jeter. Like, how do you write Jeter's career? Like that, like a lot of the stuff that he was able to accomplish, I feel is like stranger than fiction. um,
Wasn't he involved with Mariah Carey at one point?
yeah, I don't know.
No.
He might have been. He
I
was there's,
thought so.
mm-hmm. But what I'm saying is his career though.
No, no, for sure.
Yeah, because even like his milestones and things like that, it's always like in these like how can you even write that kind of
Mm-hmm.
things? And that's something that I've always said about different things. Like how can you even write that? And that's sometimes it is. It's true.
Mm-hmm.
Truth is stranger than fiction. um, but yeah, we're in terms of holiday. Joe is going to be working pretty much like right up until the
Yeah.
holiday, so it's usually just him and I, and that's what's happening. And hope to have like a nice. We're just gonna pick up some stuff. We're not gonna even like make anything, to be honest. Cheryl is just the two of us. Our community used to have a big block party, but with COVID, that's out. We treat ourselves to a nice meal.
Nice.
We don't do gifts, just appreciate what we have and each other.
Mm-hmm.
Aw, that's great. That's great. And yeah, that's wonderful. And yeah, oof.
Yes.
You've had a long day, huh?
Yeah, it's been a long one for me.
Yeah.
Tiring, but excuse me. Oof.
Now we're talking about like British
Oof.
stuff. Brian Nash from Frankie Goes to Hollywood briefly had an animated video up of a song that was inspired by me in the Gulf War as an SAS buddy of his called Pebbles to Dust from his latest CD. Wow.
Wow.
So is Brian Nash the lead singer of was the lead singer of Frankie Goes to Hollywood? Um I didn't
That's
know
a
I
good
didn't know
question.
his yeah, like I didn't know his first name. And so the video up of a song that was inspired by me in the Gulf War. Um I just have like so many questions. I wonder, Kyle, like if you would be up one of these days just to be part of like our live so that it's not that you're just typing that you can I don't know how you feel about either being on camera or having like something like some kind of an avatar where maybe we can chat um, but you can let me know how you might feel about that where we could just
Oh,
uh,
he's lead guitarist and backing vocals for
he's a
Frankie
guitarist.
Goes to Hollywood.
Yeah, so he says if I can forward that via email, I will. He's the guitarist. And just so what was the story that was inspired by you? See, this way if we can get you on live, you could instead of having to like type in all of that because I'm yeah, like wow. Um and like what I have like just so many questions, and just to be able to have like a conversation with you, um, like I don't want to hog your channel up. It's fine.
No, no.
No, this is that's for me. Like this like would give me like all this energy. So that would be really amazing. Um, the absurdity of war, overkill, turning pebbles to dust. Ah, wow. Yeah, it's just, um, but to go from someone hearing your story and knowing about you and knowing things about you to inspiring songs, and inspiring things, and for you to be creating and all of the stuff, like that's the kind of thing that I thrive on. And the one thing that we talked about, with the Get Back documentary, is the thing that I really, really thought was amazing about Get Back is that just to be that fly on the wall, just to be, just to see how creative people create or have inspiration for what they do, and just to be able to watch that is amazing. To be able to talk um, to to you, I think would just be something that would be really inspiring for me. So maybe that's something that we can talk about. I'd really, it'd be an honor for me um, to be able to do that with you. But it depends on how you feel about it, and we can discuss it. But yeah, it's
Yeah,
always
always.
this. Yeah, like I just this the I'm inspired, and I just in awe, and I just have like it's interesting because here it's 11:45 in the evening, and I've been just pretty much like tired all day long, but now like I'm pretty hyped, and it's probably going to take me a couple of hours
Mm,
for me to come down before I'm able to go to sleep. But I just love it.
mm,
I just love it, and it means so much, because yeah, like the lack of energy is like the biggest like crappy thing
mm-hmm.
for me, and I'm very fortunate that is the 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 thing that I have the most problem with. That's the problem that I have. But yeah, just forwarded the non-copyright strike version. The anime was taken down.
Mm.
Darn YouTube.
Yes.
Yeah.
No.
Again, thank you so
Yes.
much.
Thank you.
And I have a lot of stuff from Kyle that I have that I'm excited to go
Right.
through, because I know he's been sending me stuff. I haven't been checking my emails, but I it's I can't even imagine what's being sent. So I'm so excited about that. Yeah. So Cheryl's just saying, it looks like you'll have a lot of reading if you can't sleep. I tweeted you too.
Mm.
Awesome. Thank you. You know what's funny, Cheryl? I think like you sent me that article about the American town, was it, that has to go through the Canadian side to be able to get to the Americans. This is the worst way of explaining that particular article, but that was really, really fascinating, and I've told a few people about it. So thank you so much for also sending that, because that was really cool. And gosh, like I wonder what they're going through now, and how I would love to actually see like an update on that particular article that you sent. I think about that a lot for some reason. Just how like everyday life can be completely disrupted,
Mm.
and even though it's been disrupted in so many ways for the rest of us, that particular town is like disrupted in this incredibly strange way. Yeah, it was totally crazy. Um, so yeah, like it'd be really cool to know, to get an update on that particular thing. But I wonder, we just need to maybe go back to that article and see if they've maybe done an update on it. But thank you for sending that, because I've actually shared it with a bunch of people. But yeah, it's
Yes.
getting late,
It's getting late.
and
It was
again,
fun.
yeah, and
Thank you.
thank you. And yeah, honestly, I love doing them. I think you enjoy it too.
Mm-hmm. I do.
I
I
think
do.
it's tough. I think for Joe, because he works all day, and he comes home, and one of the reasons why decided to start it a little bit later than originally were doing was so that Joe can have a little bit of downtime before we go live. And I do really enjoy him being a part of it, because I guess I could also do it on my own. But um, I think you enjoy it too.
Yes. Yeah, I like being your Ed McMahon, I guess.
I don't know.
Ayo! Yes.
I don't know that he's my big fan, but
You're Johnny Carson. I'm McMahon. So.
oh, I need to like tee stuff off.
Yeah.
And I can't see myself as a Carson at all.
Karnak. Karnak.
We'll probably actually hop on live in the next week or so, just to say hello. And if people are like available or something, hopefully they'll stop by. But otherwise,
should we talk about what we were thinking about doing? But or maybe not.
we'll just talk about it now since you already.
Well, we were kind of playing around with it. Should we do like a live stream of like on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day? But that might be too much.
Well, I mean, we can. I mean, we can just go on and people can come or not. I mean, that's entirely up to people. We haven't figured out whether that's going to be something that might be of interest.
And seeing their families and stuff.
Or not interested in necessarily hanging out with us.
Yeah, that's true too.
Christmas Eve. But well, I mean, I think like we'll just come on and like just see, like next week, just wish everybody a happy holidays, because I just want a way to be able to give back somehow. So I guess we'll just keep kind of thinking about that a little bit, because I'm just so grateful, and I don't know that like doing a dive stream is necessarily like a giving back, but just to be able to come on and to say thank you, and to be able to express as much as I can, like how much this all means to me. So that would be maybe something that we'll try to do next week. But Kyle's saying, gonna send you some of these Kuwaiti pics and such too, with my writing interactions with him in Liverpool, and he was as he was tracking that song. Nice. And Kyle's like, wishing you to the merriest of Christmases this year. Thank you so much. And to you too, Kyle, and to you, Cheryl, and everyone who might be even watching this afterwards or later on. Happy holidays and Merry Christmas. And again, like, we may hop on in case, like, people just want to say hi, or just get away from some holiday stuff for a change, whatever. But we just appreciate everything. So thank you so much.
Bye.
we're gonna sign off. So good night.
Good night.
And take good care. And Kyle, I hope you have a safe trip to see your mom. And thank you again for everything. And Cheryl, to you too. Merry Christmas. Sending love, and hope you and Stan have a really great Christmas. So maybe, but we'll also maybe see you next week too. Good night.
Good night, everyone.